It's time for Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Quick pitch to Walter, looking for the record, cuts back, he's got it, he's out of it at 25 and the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship. Chicago has won the Stanley Cup. Palmero over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
A little bouncer slowly toward Bryant. He will glove it, go to Rizzo.
It's in time, and the Chicago Cubs win the World Series.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this Wild and Out Wednesday Hump Day edition. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm your boy, the Superback, Shawn Sierra. And man, we have a phenomenal show for you. And thanks for tuning in. Now, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, well, guess what? I guess you found us on Facebook. Now, you can also tweet the show. You can tweet us at SM_mornings, at SM_mornings, or at SportsZone Shy. That's CHI, at SportsZone Shy. Now, if you want to follow me, just me, personally online, want to know what I did? Let me tell you what I did. Want to know what I did? Here's what I did. I made a nice niche for you folks. Nice shiniji. One handle for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, the Snapper. All one handle at the Shawn Sierra. And you know what day it is? It's Wednesday. So, oh yeah, honey, there it is. She's back. She's back, baby. Wearing her Cubs gear. She's paying out her debt. Man, she is the co-host, my co-pilot in this insanity. The one, the only, the lovely, the incomparable Maya Akai. What up, Maya?
I think I'm going to need some Benadryl in about 15 minutes because I'm about to break out in a full-blown hive because I got this Cub shirt on and my skin, like I'm itching all of a sudden and I feel really warm and I think I have a rash. I'm getting a rash because I shouldn't have this shit on.
Understandable. I get you.
But it's okay but I'm paying my debt. I even did a Facebook Live video. You know, hey, I had to do a little extra because you know what? I'm a couple weeks late on this. I was like, but I'm going to wear it, but it's okay because I was like, you know, when I'm done with this shirt, I was like, man, I wonder if I could return it and be ratchet. No, okay. That would be wrong. That'd be wrong to share my DNA like that with somebody else. I was like, but you know what? At first I was like, I'm going to wash my car with it. I'm like, no, my car is too good for that. I'm like, I'll do my kitchen floors. But then I was like, but then Shawn gave me a better idea. He's like, clean your toilet with it. I'm like, yes. That's the best I can do with this piece of material is use it to clean my toilet. So there you go. Own it. People see it. Maya has on her Chicago Cubs shirt. Done. And as soon as I'm done, I'm taking it off. And the next video you see is going to be me cleaning my toilet with it. Serious. I'll be like, guys, I paid my debt. But you know what? Everything can be repurposed. And so I'm going to use this as a towel to clean my toilet. It's to repurpose the material. Nothing should go to waste. You know what I mean? I don't want to just like throw it in the garbage. I should repurpose it. So that's that. But with that being said, obviously, you guys, unlike Shawn, I'm user friendly. Right on the screen is how you can follow me on IG, Maya_Akai, and of course at the Sports Chica, Facebook and Twitter. So if you want to give me gripe Cubs fans because people were booing me when I was doing my Facebook Live, you can go ahead and give me grief. I don't care. Matter of fact, I'll tag all of you when I'm cleaning my toilet if you keep it up. So.
And the funny thing is, I know you will. That's what's awesome about it. You know you will.
All right. Yeah, Joseph, I can't wait to get you.
Man, yeah. Well, listen, we got a great show for you, but we need you to get interactive with us today. So here's what we need you to do. All right, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, then here's what I need you to do. Type your question or your comment right there on the post. It'll come up right here on the screen. Our producer Ivan will put it up as long as it's not stupid. And we want to be interactive with you. We want you to be part of the show. Check it out. We want to hear your feedback, your questions, and your comments. If you're watching this on the app, and if you haven't downloaded the app, make sure you download the app. We are an app-centric station. You have to check us out. Download the app. It's free 99. Anywhere you can get your apps from, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, wherever you get them from, download the app. Maya, tell them download the app.
You got to download the app. The app, I'm telling you something. The app is absolutely everything SportsZone Chicago, not just Shawn and Maya, because we have a lot of really awesome shows.
Yeah, we do.
If you go to the app, obviously you can watch the show live. You can listen to it, but you can go back and watch former shows as well as listen to the podcast for What's Up Cuz, Sports 101 with Jamar Harp, the Humidor, Sports and Cigar Show. I mean, we got so much more stuff. Our show lists have expanded exponentially. So download the app so you can be in the know with everything SportsZone Chicago.
Do it. Make sure you do that. Hey, guys, listen. When I said we got a great show, I was not bull jiving. 10 o'clock coming up in a few minutes, or 9 o'clock, I should say. You know how we do. First segment we bring up our guy, Joseph Phillips. He's going to sit in with us for the first hour of the show. He's from the Chicago Crusader. At 10 o'clock, our good old friend, Dan Hayes. He used to work for NBC Sports Chicago.
Yeah.
Now he works for The Athletic. He covers the Minnesota Twins. He's calling in. He said, is this a video call? I was like, yeah. He goes, I hope baseball hats are acceptable. I said, Dan, for you, buddy, they're acceptable. He goes, yeah, because it might be just me waking up and rolling out of bed. I'm like, no problem, buddy. So Dan Hayes is going to call at 10 o'clock. He covers the Twins for The Athletic. We're going to talk about the split. The Sox have split the first two games, and the rubber match of the series is today. So we're going to talk to Dan Hayes and get a Minnesota Twins perspective. 10:30, Eric Lambert, our boy from the Sports Mockery. We're going to talk a little Bears football. Matt Nagy says we need to find an identity. No, you need to give them an identity. You need to play call so they have an identity, Matt Nagy. So we're going to talk to Eric Lambert at 10:30 about a little Bears football. Then at 11 o'clock, a new guest to Shawn and Maya in the morning, Janice Scurio. She's from the Southside Hit Pen. That is Sports Illustrated site dedicated solely to the good guys on 35th and Shields. So Janice Scurio, we're going to talk about, again, the split. The White Sox and Twins have split the first two games of this three-game set, and the rubber match is tonight. We're going to see them. The White Sox are a team on fire. Minnesota has been reeling. We're going to talk to Dan Hayes also about his article. He wrote about, are the Twins, is this the rock bottom for the Twins? Because they've just been not very good. So we're going to got a lot of baseball talk today, sandwiching some Bears talk. Now, guys, you know how we do. The first segment of every show is called Top of the Morning to you, and these are the hot topics of the night before, but just the sports in general. And boy, oh boy, do we have some doozies. And our top of the morning segment is powered by the Chicago Crusader newspaper. And with that, I want to bring in their sports editor, the man, the myth, the legend, and Hefe himself. You can find him on Twitter at ACA Joe. Oh, Maya's ready. She's ready. Man, Maya, let him get in the ring first. She's like a boxer, like trying to reach through the ropes and punch as he's walking up the stairs.
Come on.
Here he is at ACA Joe on Twitter. Man, Joe Phillips. Joseph, what's up, Baba?
Good morning. God bless. How y'all doing?
Yeah, God bless. All right. Yeah. No. Hey, Joseph, how are you?
I'm doing great. Just enjoying a beautiful day.
What's in the background?
We got the Cubs playing in the background.
I see the Marquee Network going on.
Just giving a little, excellent game last night. Just got my 50-inch TV yesterday. So
I can say I was like, Joseph moved to his new digs, right? And little by little, he's been showing he's like, yeah, you see the Peloton is back there now, not like up here. So now he's like, see my big TV in the background. I see you. I see you, Joe. I see you.
That's the black man. That's the black man. You gotta testify about the good things God is doing.
Big pimping. All right.
Big pimping.
Just testifying. That's all.
Hey, just make sure you got other furniture. I don't see no other furniture. Just make sure that's not.
One thing. Hey,
no couch, no seat, no recliner, no nothing. Just a TV.
That's all we need, man. You hear that echo?
With a big TV and some beanbags, some giant beanbags.
That's right, baby.
Joseph sitting on the table in front of the TV talking to us now. Hey, you know what? You do you. However you do it. I know you're doing it big. It's one step at a time.
The missus got it. She's gonna have it looking nice in here.
Right.
That's their job. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I told her, just don't touch the man closet. Me and my son, we got the man closet up in there with all the sports memorabilia. It's like everything else is yours.
Oh man. Oh, she must have been like, yes, it is.
Yeah. I told her.
He's like, I love you, Joe. That's why I love you, baby.
That's right. Do your thing, baby. Do your thing.
Hey, you know what? If mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
That's right.
That's how it works. Yes.
That's right.
That's the truth. Good stuff, man. Glad to have you with us again, as always, man. But let's get right to it. Top of the morning topic. The first top of the morning topic: the Pirates fall short against the Cubs. Man, I was like, no, I wasn't rooting for it against them.
Yeah.
The Cubs beat the Pirates 8-7 yesterday at 11 innings. Yes. Your thoughts? Finally, the Cubs. Do they seem to be on a roll, Joe? What's the deal with the Cubs?
All right, so the Cubs are going through a small transformation period, and that is adding good left hand hitting to the lineup. And in addition to that, the bullpen situation, because it kind of came back to hunt us again because Lester ended up staying in the game longer than he should. And by him staying in the game longer than he should, it allowed the batters to see him an extra additional inning, which eventually they got to him on some small ball type of stuff. A few bloopers here, a few bloopers there. And then when the bullpen did come in the game, I guess, eventually they ended up tying the game at 6-6. And then we had to take it from there. And that's when our new guys kind of stepped up. That guy that get out lefties, I think it's Osada. I think Osada. But he came in last night, did well. And Jeffers came in and shut the door down. And thank God for starting off the inning with everybody on second base. We probably would have been in trouble if the new rules weren't in effect.
Maya, your thoughts on the Cubs with a big extra inning victory yesterday?
Look, you know what? I'll say this. At least if I have to wear this awful piece of apparel, at least they won, So at least I could say they probably won it.
Ivan is having a blast with that one.
Right, they won it. You know what? This is probably some good luck for them. Like they may go on a win streak after today. They'd be like,
you might be.
Hey, we got some of that. We got some of that mojo.
You might be the reason. You might got some of that Maya mojo.
They may be like,
Steve's onto something.
That Maya mojo might rub off. All of a sudden, they're gonna.
They could go on a string where they go what do you say, Joseph? 15-2.
I don't know, maybe 9-1 like the Sox did.
Yeah.
Saying.
That's a nice shirt, by the way.
Yeah, it looks really nice on you.
Yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I didn't do him justice. He just came up. Hey, listen, you bring him back up. It's our man behind the curtain. He is the whiz. He is our Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife. He is talking smack to the fullest with Maya's new Cubs shirt today. He is our producer,
nice.
Ivan Vargas. Ivan, what's up, Baba?
What's up, guys? How are you doing? What's up, Joseph? Hi, Maya.
What's up, dog?
Okay, enough of that. You go away. Okay. Yeah, no, there will be no more Cub. Don't worry, there'll be no more bets where I have to wear Cub gear. Seriously, because this shirt won't exist after today. So I'm not going out to buy any more stuff. So there'll be no more bets involving me doing it because bad things are about to happen to it when the show is over. So,
yeah, that's what Vernon just said. Vernon.
Yeah, no more bets.
Vernon said, hopefully Maya doesn't make another bet concerning Cubs gear when losing. Right. Hey, here's the thing. We're going to bet $10. It was only going to be like $10. Remember, Maya?
Right.
And then you got a little froggy. You wanted to leave. You're like, no. You got to wear Cubs gear if they lose. I was like, okay. And Ivan, you got to wear Sox gear if the Hawks lose. I was like, okay. So Maya felt froggy. She left, and you know what? It's
she tried to put us
in averages. You win some, you lose some.
She tried to put us in the corner, and it backfired.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. At the end of the day, it was the Blackhawks. Them winning wasn't a bad thing. I'll accept it because they won. They did better than I thought they would. I knew the next round wasn't going to be easy. But here's the thing. Let's be honest. I'm not the only person who didn't think that this wasn't going to happen. In fact, Jamal Mayer was on What's Up, Cuz? And it was talking about it. And he didn't flat out say he didn't think they would win, but he also wasn't fully saying they were going to, take the series. So you had a lot of people who didn't think that they were going to clear that series. So it wasn't just me. And they didn't
balance too. I was in the balance too.
One of the things I said about that series when it's all said and done, I have to respect Jeremy Colleton because of what he accomplished with that squad. A lot of things came out of that series. Corey Crawford will be back next year because there is no heir apparent when it comes to the goalie. We saw that letting Leinart go, what that looked like for us. It hurt to watch him be Vegas's goalie. So I respect Colleton. And with that being said, because he achieved something I didn't expect for him to do, I have that same expectation to a degree with Renteria, that I need to see results from this abbreviated season with the White Sox. You need to do better than expected because now you have all these pieces in play. So if Renteria wants me to be in his corner more and have faith and not so much be on the fence about it, I need to see a lot of continual winning. I don't see why there can't be a playoff contention, especially with there kind of being a play-in series with the wild card, how this season is structured. Matter of fact, I kind of feel like, why can't they win the division? I mean, they're sharing first right now with Cleveland. So I think Renteria has a lot that he has to prove. For everybody who's not Team Renteria, him having a productive season this year would mean a lot to people kind of saying maybe he might be the guy.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But the next top of the morning topics, the Cubs make some moves at the deadline. The Cubs grab a couple arms. They got some southpaws, Josh Osich from the Red Sox, and Andrew Chafin.
Oh, what was it? Oh, shit. What?
Oshie.
Ish.
I was trying to say his name earlier. It's Oshie. Okay. Thanks, Shawn.
Okay. Yeah. In addition to they got a left-handed bat as well. I'm sorry, a guy who hits left-handers, Tiger outfielder Cameron Maybin. As I said, Andrew Chafin from the D-backs, and the Red Sox reliever Josh Osich. So those three guys, and the thing about Cameron Maybin is he destroys left-handers. Mm-hmm. He destroys left-handers. So you just added a DH in Martinez. You just add another guy who destroys left-handers. It looks like the Cubs are really, really, really. They're not content with just being atop the NL Central. They're looking big picture, National League, and eventually the entire National League, and eventually the World Series. That's my thought. When you make moves like this, it seems like you feel that you have everything ready, and there's just one or two more tweaks, and they got their one or two more tweaks.
That's right. They can smell blood in the water like sharks. You know, they feel that, hey, why not put this division away with the opportunity that's presented itself with pretty much less than 30 games left. You know, you want to finish strong, and then you want to put all your soldiers out there because we're getting ready for a playoff run, and we don't want to go home in the first round. We want to send a message to everybody in the National League. In addition to the National League, also the American League. So it starts now. Winning starts now. The time is now. And like I said a few weeks ago, with Anthony Rizzo stating that this is probably this team's last year together. You know, most of the core guys are probably moving on, like a Chris Bryant, who I think is kind of like, you know, I'm not going to say anything about that, but hopefully he's not throwing away the season. I'm looking forward to next season. And hopefully he can turn it around. You know, he had 2 hits last night, but this could probably be the last year of seeing, you know, everybody from that core from 2016 together. So we have to make the best of that run because that window of opportunity is closing.
Can I say something real quick about the pitchers? Like the reason why I like them, I like grabbing these two so much is because their velocity. Like we need strikeout guys in that back end of the bullpen. We need guys to get outs when there's runners on, and the Cubs didn't have that for a little bit. So now you got guys that can throw a little harder. That could, you know, they could probably get strikeouts. I think we saw Josh Osich last night strike out. I think he had one strikeout. Or I gotta check the stats again. But he struck out a guy to get out of the inning. Yeah. And that's what we've been lacking in the bullpen. We got pitchers that can pitch, but they're not strikeout guys, and we need that for the playoff run.
That's right. And like I said, we have to pitch better against left-handed hitting. That's why we went out to grab those guys who are good against lefties, especially if you have to face off against somebody like a Christian Yelich or a Winker also. So, you know, we just want to play no games with Cincinnati and Milwaukee or the St. Louis Cardinals.
You know, it's interesting because this season we knew it was going to be, you felt that the teams that were positioned the best to excel were the teams that weren't in rebuilds, that were established, that knew exactly what they had. So the Cubs were one of the teams that were expected to rise to the top in regards to that because of where they were. I don't know, and I said this. I know that Tyler Chatwood had a couple good outings, and everybody started talking about him like he was good. I'm like, you all have short-term memories. And then he started pitching exactly like the pitcher that we knew he was, and now he's away. I was like, he was never going to be reliable, and I couldn't believe that people were buying into that. But what I think is key is that, respectively in the Cubs division, they, I believe, are positioned to win the division because St. Louis has had their struggles. Milwaukee is not playing up. Now, obviously, you talk about people opting out and things like that does affect outcomes. So, if nothing else, I think the Milwaukees, the Cincinnatis, the Pirates, the Cardinals are probably looking at being spoilers for them more than anything else. So, the pitching was a thing to me that they struggled with because, let's be honest, Lester's not pitching at that level. And we can only expect so much from him because of where he is, obviously, in his career. But when you look at the rest of the National League, what's key to keep in mind is you have those teams to me that when we talk about now the teams that are established versus teams that can have breakout years, the team I said at the beginning of a season that I felt this would be the year where things would come together, and you're seeing it, is Atlanta. And Atlanta is going to be a hard team to beat. They're young, they're fast, they're aggressive, and that's the kind of things that are a little different when you see it. This is interesting. A Cub team that's a veteran team. We're talking about players on this team that are not old. But considering how long they've been playing at the major league level and what they've achieved, it kind of makes them a veteran team where you've got Atlanta has a lot of young players that are not necessarily proven. So you look at Atlanta is dominating their division, kind of like the Cubs are. Of course, LA is playing in true form, but guess who's creeping up because of what they did in offseason? Here comes the Padres. Because Padres, I'm telling you, their tagline for the year is going to be "Call me Daddy," because I'm a Padre, for real. And they come in after everybody. So it's, to me, you're going to have this really interesting NL playoff series when it happens. And you're going to have a lot of teams that made acquisitions or that were at that turning point because of this short season that might kind of bubble up and make it tough for the Cubs because they're not the same teams they're used to playing. Aggressive, fast, big hitters. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I am worried about the not worried because it doesn't affect me or my team. But I am interested to see how well the Padres do. They kind of remade their whole team. Mm-hmm. It started off with them getting the pitcher just left my name. Clevenger. It started off with them getting Clevenger, and there was rumors, man, all through Monday about the White Sox being in on Clevenger. One of the issues or some of the going parts were Michael Kopech and Adam Engel, and those were confirmed. So I was in the air for that. I was up in the air for that because Mike Clevenger is a guy. We'd have him for control because he's established. Michael Kopech's not established. Michael Kopech has all the potential in the world. Okay, but Mike Clevenger is established. And we'd have him under control for 2 more seasons. He'd be up for arbitration next season and in 22. After the 22 season, he's an unrestricted free agent. So we'd have him for the rest of this season. And that you put where does he go? Is he the number 3? He has to move Dylan Cease down. I mean, you talk about fortifying your starting rotation with a proven starter. That was it. But I'm like, do I want to get, was I happy giving up Kopech? Because what if Kopech can be a Michael Clevenger or better? We don't know.
See, that's the thing. See, here's where I told you this would be a really dangerous season for the Sox. Because the question was, if they can be in it, what do they make those moves to win it? Here's my thing. They can be in it. And by the way, I had my Vegas bet placed, and there was a bunch of bets that were placed. Mine was not to win the World Series, though I might throw one in there for the Cubs just because it's a $20 bet. You know what I mean? What could I go wrong with? But mine was for the Sox to win the division. I'm flat out tell you this, and I've said it repeatedly. I don't see them winning the World Series. I don't. But I can see them making a run. I can see them making the playoffs, whether it's winning the division or being able to play their way into the playoffs, so to speak. But I don't see a World Series. So my thing is this. If it isn't a World Series, the pieces that we didn't go get Kopech to trade him. You do take a lot of prospects in, knowing that you're going to probably deal them in bigger deals. But Kopech was never brought in with the expectation. And I'm like, it's interesting because people have short-term memories when they want to be. His outings he had were solid. They were solid outings. But unfortunately, then he had the issue. He kept having rain games. You know what I mean? But everything we saw of him is important. When I think about the Sox rotation, Kopech is in it. People, I keep telling you, Dane Dunning is the truth, the way, and the light. And I know people don't get it. He is a young Greg Maddux. He's not going to blow you away with speed, but he is a Rembrandt when it comes to, he loves to make hitters hitting the ground balls. He's methodical. He's like a baseball-like savant, so to speak. If you listen to his after-game press conferences, he'll tell you exactly what his intention was on the mound, and you can see it. He's got composure. So I'm going to say this. When we talk about rotation, you don't give up Kopech. You keep Dunning. To be honest, Cease may not even be as good as Dunning. And I was kind of pissy when they took Dunning out in the 5th inning. I'm like, that's right. You know why? Because you would never want him to pitch a game where it was like a no-hitter. I said, because now all of a sudden your golden boy Giolito doesn't look as golden because Dane was pitching against a better team. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to throw shade on
Too late. You already threw shade on Gio. Like, why can't
I'm not going to throw shade on Giolito.
Flowers, so, Maya, they're like flowers. Why can't both flowers bloom? Why? Why
because
can't
here's the thing, though, because technically Giolito has been nurtured, watered, and should be thriving. And I'm telling you something. I stick to this firmly. No, because he has these off and on games. That's my problem. And the bottom line is I feel like Giolito pitches at his highest level when he feels other people stop talking about him. And when people start talking about Dane Dunning a little too much, all of a sudden he will often go out and have a fantastic outing. I think he needs to be challenged. That's the other piece of the puzzle for him. So my thing is you don't give up Kopech, because let's be honest, Ray Lopez is not going to be in this lineup next year. There's no room for him unless he's middle relief. As much as I love Rodon, who has ace stuff, but he got bad bones. So we can't rely on him. But he can be in middle relief because this week the bullpen's been a little shaky. I'm going to be honest. So you have arms. You have enough arms that you could really shore up your bullpen. But I didn't need them. Stay put because you were supposed to be. This is an evaluation season, and if something amazing comes from it, so be it. But don't go the Kenny Williams way where you start dealing off pieces because all you can see is winning now. This is a team that can be structured to be winning for multiple seasons. So don't give up so quickly.
My thing is, though, with Michael Kopech, and I was telling Shawn this, we talked about it a while ago. It's like I refer to Michael Kopech as like this unicorn because it's like we keep talking about him, we keep hearing about him, and then something always keeps coming up. Like he finally makes his, he finally shows up to the big leagues. We're seeing him throw 100 miles an hour, and then personal reasons. I just feel like I don't want to say like he has like some type of curse over him, like some black cloud or something like that. But if you have a team,
black cloud, right?
Yeah. If you have you're wrong. If you have a team that's ready to win now, and they are ready to win, I think they could win right now. And you have that piece, just like a Gleyber Torres, to get a Chapman. I think I'd make that move if I believe in this team, by all accounts, this team in a 60-game schedule, I think they have a chance to win it.
To win what? World Series?
Yeah.
No.
This is such a microcosm of a season.
Yeah, I'm watching a whole lot of baseball. No.
All right, that's fine. But if you have the opportunity to get a solid pitcher, a pitcher that you're going to have with the years to match for a Michael Kopech, a proven solid pitcher, a number 3, I think I might take that because you still.
I can see both sides of the argument. I can see both sides of the argument. If you're winning now, first of all, Michael Kopech's not here. He decided to opt out, which was his right, and so that's fine. But you would have got a guy in Clevenger who is legit, and we know Mike Clevenger is legit. We know what he can do, so he'd be good for us this year. He'd be good for us next year and in 2022. Okay, so we'd have him there. We wouldn't have him under control as long as Kopech. Okay, but if you're trying to win now, I see both sides of the argument.
So here's the question.
The only thing I didn't want, Maya, I don't want to be facing Kopech for the next 7 years and he's in Cleveland. That was a scary part.
That's the thing. You don't deal that. You deal out your division. You don't deal in your division. That was the other thing. And here's the thing about winning now. And this is why I respect Rick Hahn. Rick Hahn has the patience that Kenny Williams never had. And sometimes some people can't see the forest for the trees. See, this is why fans are never going to be GMs because all we can see is winning right now. The White Sox finally have a culture of winning that has taken time to build. And they moved major pieces to acquire the likes of Kopech and Giolito and Dunning and so on and so forth. So you don't deal these pieces. Now, mind you, if this had been a full season and this had happened with Kopech, I might have been a little salty about it, seriously. But I'm going to say this at the same time. Being that I'm a mental health professional, I can respect the fact. And by the way, the conversation about opting in has popped up. And what's weird is Rick Hahn did not say no about Kopech coming back. He didn't say it. Because what we don't know about this season when people opted out, I don't know if they can opt back in. I have no clue. He didn't have COVID. So when Rick Hahn was asked that question recently, he didn't give a flat out no, which I thought was interesting. So the question becomes, is that going to be an option? Is Kopech maybe gotten a little stir crazy? Realistically, let's be honest, Ivan, and we need to look at this from a human perspective when it's all said and done. He's in a very difficult situation, and it's very personal. And we know that pitchers, if their mind isn't in it, it's not going to work. And he didn't ask, I don't know, we don't even know fully what the situation is, but whatever it is, trust me, it was probably a hard decision for him to decide not to come back, really. But we just know it's some really personal stuff. And to have to navigate that through this initially probably wasn't a great idea. But he might be watching this now and be saying to himself, maybe this is what I need.
Damn.
It might be like, maybe being in that situation might make this easier for me to navigate. You know what I mean? But at the same time, taking the season off gives him even more time to be healthy for the next season. That's the other thing, because Dane Dunning was like about a year and a half. And the only difference was we didn't get to flirt with seeing Dane Dunning. We didn't get to see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
he was very under the radar. Like, he was just like, oh yeah, and Dane Dunning. Like,
I know, I was waiting for that.
There were certain Sox fans knew. Real Sox fans knew. Real Sox fans knew Dane Dunning.
I saw him as a kicker in that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw him as like, and this guy too. Here you go.
Because Dunning,
Ryan and I, we were up on him. We were up on that.
I want to say Dunning and Magical.
You ain't up on this?
Yeah, Dunning and Magical will Florida people. They're Florida guys.
Hey, listen, guys, we got to take a quick break. Press pause. We continue this conversation on the other side of the break. More top of the morning topics. Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Here's the 1-0, swinging a smash on the ground. Base hit up the middle, base hit to center. Rounding third is Horner. He's going to score. Cubs take the lead. Ian Happ, a sharp ground ball, even though they had the picket fence on the right side of the diamond. Happ hit a bullet on the ground.
Cubs radio with the call. Ian Happ with the RBI single in the top of the 11th, pushing Chicago past the Pirates 8-7. This coming after the Cubs had blown a 6-1 lead. Pittsburgh erupted for 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th. Rough day for Cubs starter John Lester, 5 runs on 8 hits over 5 1/3. He struck out 3 and walked 3. Elsewhere, Byron Buxton hit an RBI single to break up the tie and give the Twins a 3-2 lead over the White Sox. The Cardinals pounded the Reds 16-2 the final in Cincinnati. Brad Miller with 7 RBI. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. And the only one that's trending, up to date, around the clock, what you need from who you know. With storm fronts, stand-ups, live news, and points of view.
And that's Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt.
And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free. Upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Content availability may vary over time.
If you knew there was an energy shot that also helped you lose weight, would you try it? Real Ketones Keto Energy Shots give you sustained energy without the sugar, jitters, or crash. That's why Keto Energy Shots constantly get 5-star reviews. The secret is our patented all-natural ingredient DBHB. This powerful ingredient revs up your metabolism and turns your body into a fat-burning machine in only minutes. Feel energized while shredding unwanted pounds. Pull into a CVS now and look for Keto Energy Shots in the weight loss aisle, or go to realketones.com.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this Hump Day edition. You see my lovely co-host Maya Kai. We see our good friend of the program. He's the sports editor for the Chicago Crusader, Joseph Phillips, on the screen, and we're smack dab in the middle of our top of the morning segment. We left off. We were talking about the potential trade that did not go down. White Sox would be were to give up Michael Kopech and Adam Engel for Mike Clevenger of the Indians. I see both sides of the argument. I know we'd have Clevenger for 2 more seasons. But we have Kopech under control for a little longer than that. And the biggest thing is I don't know how comfortable I would have been facing Kopech for the next 4 to 5 or 6 or 7 years in that Cleveland rotation. And when he faced us, there'd have been a little bit extra on that fastball. There'd have been a little more bite on that curveball. There'd have been a little something to know, because he sees what's going on here in Chicago. He understands it. And imagine if they trade him away. They trade him away, and the Sox do win a World Series in the next 2 seasons, and he's not part of it. How pissed would he be? How pissed?
Well, you wouldn't worry about it. You'd be worried about the Sox winning 2 World Series without him. I mean, I'm sure you would be able to sleep at night if you didn't win a World Series without Michael Kopech. If you won a World Series,
no, he's not talking about us. He's talking about how he would feel.
How he would feel.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm like, if he goes out the division, it's one thing, but you don't trade within your division. You don't give somebody ammo to shoot you. That's a bad idea.
Right. So what I was getting to is that's what I would have been saying is, like, if there was an opportunity to trade him outside of the division, like not necessarily a Clevenger, just a pitcher with control later on, after this year, would you do it? Because, like I said, you still have to see what he could do in a major league season. You still have to see the longevity. What if he doesn't have the bones like Rondon? What if he's not that guy to start? What if he's the guy for the rotation? You know what I mean?
Wood and Mike Pryor.
Right.
Exactly. I have 2 scenarios for Michael Kopech. Okay. One, he can come back at the end of the season. Maybe y'all can work him in. I don't know, into like the starter role or a closer role with this type of stuff. Or 2, you guys could have moved on from him and got a bona fide, consistent starting pitcher in Clevenger. Now, here it is. Okay, so I know we talked about this on Monday. I know y'all thought I was trying to y'all all that. But as I said before, Mario, what good is to have a new car if you can't drive it? You got this guy here, you got all his potential, but you need him now. Now,
but do you need him now? Here's the thing, though. Do you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Wait.
Go away.
Maybe Rick Hahn, and this is what I didn't think about, but you mentioned it. Maybe Rick Hahn had a conversation with him. It's like, okay, we're about to trade you. What do you want to do? Do you want to come back at the end of the season, or we trade you and you can go elsewhere and start over? And I think that conversation went like this: I'll be back at the end of the season. And Rick Hahn's giving him that space to make that decision, which is probably good. You see what I mean? So we never know. And it'll be probably like a Cal Schwarber type of situation. Remember with Cal, he went down in the beginning of the season due to injury. And the Cubs didn't know. They didn't know he was going to come back in the World Series like he did and produce. And it actually helped us win that one game on the road in Cleveland. And then in addition to that, his back, coming through in the clutch in that, top of the 10th inning. So what I'm saying is that he can still play a superhero role if given the opportunity, if he can turn his mental aspect around. I don't know what happened with that young lady that he was with. I'm not going to get into that. Staying out of White Sox business and the words of Kenny Williams. But at the end of the day, you guys have an opportunity to win now. And now is the time.
Maya, I got a question for you. If the White Sox were able to do it, because if they get to the World Series and they got the Dodgers, it's anyone's game, okay? Because we got 3 starters. Yeah, we got 3 starters and we got an offense. We got an offense that can hit anybody. And at this particular point, it would be a great one. But anyway, regardless of who they play, how would you accept this World Series if the Sox win it, or would you be, it was the shortened season, I want an asterisk, it wasn't a real season?
No, you have to. Here's the thing: you still have to win the games that are on your schedule. We've seen them have stretches where they were awful versus being fantastic. So their inconsistency actually is one of the biggest issues I have with them right now, is not playing consistent baseball. Like last night was a prime example of that to me. So no matter who makes it, whether it's the Cubs, the Braves, the Dodgers. I mean, we have to.
No, just you as a Sox fan. If we win,
no, I'm gonna be fine with it. I'm not gonna say that about anybody, including the Sox, just because.
You know what I said, Maya? I said I'm gonna spit shine that asterisk. Right above that World Series, I'll spit shine it.
But because the reason about it that would be funny is that if you happen to be the underdog team like the Sox or the Braves or teams like that, those are like underdog teams because they're young, still coming up. There's a lot of things that still haven't quite meshed. So for them to pull it off speaks volumes about what kind of team they really are. And every team started with at least this: no spring training, which means you didn't get that warm up, you didn't get those extra months. You had to hit the ground running, so to speak. And the question was, when you hit the ground running, is what you have, was it good enough? And you had a Sox team that had a lot of new moving parts that were not cohesive, that all of a sudden clicked and they worked. So in fact, to me, it would make that World Series even more special just because they are such newbies. I'd be nothing else. I'd be happy for Abreu, who I'm like, if nothing else, I want him to retire as a Sox, and I want him to get something from it. So I wouldn't put it. Right, baby. Right. Go ahead. No. But no, really, I would not put an asterisk by it because they still had to win the games in front of them. And let's be honest, we kind of felt that this division was going to be a three-way race. Cleveland, obviously the Twins. So unlike the Cubs, and I swear I'm not poking, they have a fight. So if they win the division, that's a big deal. I'm going to tell you something. That's a big step forward. Even if they make the playoffs, that's a big step forward. That means so many pieces played out. And let's be honest, they're even dealing with some of the injury bugs a little bit. So obviously, I have no problem with Gio Gonzalez not being there because, in fact, that kind of opens the door up for somebody else. So you got that issue. And to be honest, I know for some reason someone thought I didn't like Yolmer Sanchez. I'm like, oh, no. I love Yolmer Sanchez, and I was happy to see him back. And to be honest, picking him up because of the injury with Moncada was important because here's it is. You brought a guy. He's a clubhouse guy. That's the other thing. Yolmer's a big clubhouse guy, but he's also a quality utility player. So you brought something in that can help you in a twofold. Keep the rah-rah going, but he's also solid at his position at third. So
he's a gold glove.
But I mean, I'm saying, but you know what? Sometimes people's names don't always precede them in MLB. We get really tied into what's in a name, and Yolmer is a quality guy. He was making some plays over these series. I was like, look at him go. So I don't know why. I think someone got it confused with I don't like Altuve. I think someone got the two little men confused, but I've always liked Yolmer Sanchez. I just can't stand Altuve is what it is.
Well, the next time of the morning topic, that's funny. White Sox fall to the Twins yesterday, 3-2. They still hold a share of first place in the AL, Central. Your thoughts? The Sox have lost a couple, 2 out of 3, if I'm not mistaken, but they're still sitting atop the first place in the division. Your thoughts on the White Sox yesterday? They gave up the lead. Dallas Kopech wasn't sharp, but you know what? He did what a veteran does, and that's he grinds it out. He works it out. He realizes what pitches are working and what pitches aren't working. And the pitches that aren't working, he stays away from. And then that's when he tries and change speeds and locations with the other pitches that are working. And he did a great job yesterday. It was 5 innings of shutout baseball that he had yesterday, and then they gave it up late. So your thoughts on the White Sox losing to the who did they play? The Twins.
Joseph, I'll let you take the floor on this.
Oh, sure. No problem. Well, I thought you guys should have made a move at the trade deadline because it would at least put a little fear in the Twins' heart. But I think that their confidence still remains because you guys didn't make a move in that trade deadline because you guys were like one move away from just putting them away for good. But now you're giving them more life again. Here we go. You have to take advantage of the time now. I don't know. I don't know if it's a scouting report. I don't know. But for some reason, Twins, it's just like the Brewers with us. They're like a thorn in your flesh. You see what I mean? Like they don't go away. Whether it's them beating your ace or them just smacking the ball out the park. At the end of the day, what I'm saying is that if you guys would have made a move at the trade deadline, it would have pumped some fear in their heart. But right now, they're kind of like fearless against your lineup. They don't care about your big names. They don't care about the 3 starters that you're throwing out there. They feel that y'all had an opportunity to put them away, and when you didn't do it, they still feel they have some confidence to come at y'all.
You know, it's interesting because I think the Twins always realized coming into the season that they were the team to beat in the division. We knew that Cleveland was always going to be actually a team that's going to be good because they're coached well. And the fact that's the thing about giving up a good pitcher, which makes me question where is the mind of Cleveland at? That's the thing that kind of confused me. Like, by giving that up, you really put yourself in a very strange position, like you don't anticipate winning. I don't know. It's odd. So here's what I saw in yesterday's game that occasionally you can see. I can flat out tell where the Sox are mentally during each game. The game before, on point, intense, sharp. But okay, I'm going to say this. I love Lewis Robert. But, okay, I'm going to say this like I'm one of the dudes. Let his nuts go, okay? And I say that because people talk about him too much. They give him too much credit. He's amazing. He's doing everything that we think he could. But I still see a lot of inexperience at the plate. His last at-bat was so sloppy. Like, he was like, kind of like, I felt his attitude was like, oh, the game's over. We're going to lose it. I'm just going to swing, swing, swing. Not acceptable. Not mentally into the game. Not focused like he should be. So he's not the only dude on the team that can hit a home run. Ask Abreu. Ask Encarnacion. Ask Eloy. There's a ton of people who can do it too. So I kind of need people to ease up with the Lewis Roberts love a little bit because I think he gets a bit inflated. The last at-bats were very sloppy. The errors were sloppy. You're right. Keuchel didn't see what I mean. I'm that dude, you know. But seriously, you could tell that it wasn't Dallas's best stuff. You could tell. But like you said, the fact that they actually walked him out a couple extra innings showed how much they had faith in his ability as a veteran, and that's something that you need. So he wasn't on point, but there was like the mental mistakes that people were making. Like Abreu, you could tell, was not happy with his play yesterday. You could tell. Like Sanchez gave him a lightning rod, like throw to first. And he almost had it, but he dropped it. You know what I mean? They just weren't very sharp. And there are times I wonder when they have these winning streaks, if they kind of lose a little bit of momentum. Because, if they lost that game yesterday and they played their A game, my cat's looking at me. If they played their A game, I'd be like, okay, the Twins should be concerned. But there's no way as the Twins, you watched that game yesterday opposed to the game before and thought this is it. No, they're going to probably come back out today and be so disgusted with how they played last night and play an entirely different game. So,
hey Maya, I'm not trying to get in White Sox business right here.
No, but you already did.
Go ahead. Here's the deal, okay? They need Rick Hahn to give them the vote of confidence that we're going for it this year. That's what they need to hear from their general manager. That will change the whole atmosphere of the locker room. So they can't think that they can take days off.
Talk to the hand.
Hey, what's up, Kitty? Hello, Kitty. This is the brand. Hello, Kitty. So here's the deal. I think if Rick Hahn gives them that vote of confidence saying, hey, guys, let's go for it this year. And I'm not saying that he hasn't said it privately. What I'm saying, he needs to say it publicly. Like, this is the squad. This is the team. Every year we're trying to win a World Series. We're not trying to wait until next year, like the Cubs used to say, or 2 years down the line. Why not go for it now? That will change the whole atmosphere of the locker room. I haven't heard that from him. I'm seeing a lot of, possum being done with.
I don't agree with that. Here's the thing. You could look at this two ways by the White Sox deciding to not make a move. It could be sending the same message that I have faith in this team as it is, because that message was already sent at the beginning of the season. Like, we're on pace now. We're going to see what we got. I think the energy is they believe that they can play against anybody. So I don't think because there wasn't a move made during the trade deadline to say that he has no faith. In fact, it may be saying that we have faith in what we already have. We need to let it happen. See, that's the thing. From a fan standpoint, you can never look at it and ask for things to be instantaneous. They're trying to move away from that culture shift. So they made all these moves to get all these pieces in. And we know in baseball, here's what you're testing the waters with. So you don't have Kopech, but here's what you now have. You've got Dunning. You're looking at, obviously, if Ray Lopez can pull it together, Giolito should have a big season. You're looking at a lot of different moving parts. Sometimes the bullpen have been pristine. Last night, Cordero is struggling. I was like, when I see him walk out, I get kind of upset now. I'm like, go sit down. So you're having these ebbs and flows, and it's off in different places. So I don't feel by Rick Hahn not making a move, I don't think the message is we don't believe in you. In fact, it's been said repeatedly. Oh, we know what we have here is good.
you have to send a message to the fans also. You have to tell them that, listen here, okay? We're trying to win it all. Now, who says it's going to be a season next year? This is the thing that can just throw off everything. You see what I mean? Like, you have to go in there, just like with Theo Epstein, right? He says in his press conference, he says, the goal is to win the World Series, period. We're not talking about division championships. We're not talking about National League championships, World Series, or bust. That's the mentality Rick Hahn has to have. Now, I can't tell him that because right now he has. Hold on. Whether you believe this or not, the White Sox have to win the World Series. It's no argument about it.
Win a World Series win. Here's the problem with Cub fans. You won 1 year, and you know what? After that, you didn't get no more.
No, I'm sorry. You said what?
I said you won 1 year, and you can have that mindset about World Series or bust. And trust me, that's everybody's objective.
That 2005 too.
We have to.
Yeah, right, y'all been gone for a long time too.
Hold up. We knew that Kenny Williams was a cancer in the mindset of the culture for the White Sox. The White Sox are doing something that has taken them literally more than a decade to get together, which is invest in having a farm system, get prospects. So here's the thing. Don't ask my organization to fast forward it because for some reason on the north side, y'all trying to jump on somebody's bandwagon. You can go sit back where you came from. The bottom line is, hold up. Joseph, wait. Here's the thing, though. White Sox fans are fully on board. You know how many fans are hold up. Wait, hold up. Okay, I'm gonna let you talk, and then you're gonna let me talk.
Y'all don't show up to the game, so how?
Okay, are you gonna let me talk? Okay, are you done? Here's the difference. And you know what? I get so tired of that week. That is so weak. People still talking about that. Because here's what's interesting. You know how many White Sox fans were so pissed? We've been waiting for this season. We've been waiting. We've been paying attention to our prospects. People are up. We are disappointed that we can't be in the stadium. We've been waiting for this, Joseph. So here's what you can't do as a Cub fan. You don't get to dictate to me mentally what White Sox fans, we know we're in a position to win. And we've been patient with Rick Hahn because everything that Rick Hahn has said he has tried to do has come to fruition. Believe it or not, 2021 was kind of like the target season to have everybody up. So technically, we're ahead of schedule. He went out and got veteran pieces earlier. So as far as I'm concerned, stay steadfast because it isn't about winning it all right now. I want to be winning World Series rings for several seasons to come. So it's about patience. Everything doesn't have to, there's nothing worse than people being premature. You know what?
Who said that y'all gonna be healthy next year? Who said that?
But see, I'm sorry, do you have a crystal ball? Who says that anybody's gonna be healthy next year?
What I'm saying is that take advantage. Why not take advantage of the time now? We have a virus going through the world right now that's taking people out like that.
Okay, here's the thing. Stop.
Hold on.
You're overstating COVID. You're overstating COVID. See, don't do that because
I'm not overstating
SARS and COVID right now. So don't overstate COVID. No, it's not like that.
I'm not overstating anything. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put things in perspective so that the Sox can have that sense of urgency to go for it this year. Why do you think they don't? Just because they decided to stay with what they have, because there's nothing better than having confidence in what you have. So if they have confidence in this, let it be. Bottom line.
I don't think that Rick Hahn just stood pat. I don't think he stood pat. I think he was trying to make deals. And remember, it takes two to tango. So Rick Hahn, and we've seen Rick Hahn, and we know Rick Hahn is not afraid to deal.
He's not.
But I think they were asking a little too much. Let me just say this. Maybe Rick Hahn felt they were asking a little too much because he was comfortable with what they had. He just wanted to get another piece. Because remember, Rick Hahn's been pillaging all types of organizations. That's the Nationals.
He's been dealing.
That's the Red Sox. That's the Cubs. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I don't think Rick Hahn was happy that he didn't make a deal. I think he wanted something, but I think he was like, I think he said, look, if I keep this team together, I may sacrifice this season for the longevity. Okay, even though we still don't know what Kopech can do if he can stay healthy, and because we've seen him in short spurts, and what we've seen has been great, but we don't know on 162 games. I think he said, you know what, it's not on his terms. I think Rick Hahn's one of those type of guys. It's got to be on my terms. because that's the way every trade he's mad has been on his terms.
Yes,
every single one, and he's come out like he should be in jail. Think about this. And pay attention. Here's the thing. All the acquisitions, by the way, all the acquisitions that Rick Hahn have made leading up to this point, you're watching him on the field. So when the man works, it makes sense. And like I said, Shawn, I'm with you on this. We don't know what people exactly were asking for. So you got to be careful not to deplete where you are. What you're watching this team in this installment, this is Rick Hahn's work. So the man knows what he's doing. But if someone's asking for too much, you don't mortgage the farm for one win if it turns away that they're asking for too much. And the man knows what he's doing.
So here's my question, okay? You guys were on a hot streak. This is all I was saying. The momentum was swinging your way. You beat the Cubs. You know, y'all talked about that. What I'm saying is that y'all are in a prime position to just, you see what I mean? Everything was going, the arrow was going up for you guys. And I'm not saying that changes because you didn't make a move. All I'm saying is that if you would have made that move, it would have put fear in the hearts of those in the American League. And that's all I'm saying. And in addition to that, okay, what happened if that move comes back to haunt you? That lack of move comes back to haunt you in the World Series.
But what if it doesn't?
What if it doesn't? You have to.
You mean to tell me this lineup now? Are you trying to tell me that this lineup now doesn't put fear in the hearts of people? There's three White Sox with 10 homers right now. So what I'm saying is that you know they know what this lineup can do. Right. Trust me, everybody knows what this lineup can do. Especially then, thank you. Now the nation knows, because remember when you guys couldn't play the Cardinals because of their COVID situation, right. The Sox got bumped to ESPN and they hit like 35 homers that game. People were like, "Oh snap!" Right? Because we don't pay attention to other people's prospects like everyone doesn't pay attention to our prospects. But when they were up and they were on national TV, they showed out. Everyone's like, "Oh snap! Oh snap!" So now this lineup itself can put fear in the heart of every pitcher. Now, the rotation is the issue. Now, the only thing is you're only going to need 3 pitchers in a series. So you're going to need, you got Giolito, you got Kopech, and then do you want to go Dave Dunning? Do you want to go Dylan Cease? Oh, I hear you. And
Keiko's going to be around beyond 1 year. Just know that.
But who's to say that? Remember we talked about it on Monday. Remember, Doc Gooden was 18, 19 years old when he came up and pitched for the Mets. All right. How do you know that these guys aren't gamers? How do you know? I mean, we've seen Cease has given up one bad inning almost every outing, and then he's locked down from there on. Maybe he can get that settled in the playoffs. Dane Dunning, 5 shutout innings last time. He had one bad pitch his first outing. So we have some young guys so that we can throw out there. And no, they're not a Clevenger. No, they're not a Sandy Koufax. They're not proven. But just because they're proven doesn't mean they're not good. And how do you get proven? You got to prove yourself. And I think Rick Hahn was saying, I'll give these guys a chance. Okay. And trust me, again, I don't think Rick Hahn said, I'm just going to sit pat. I think he was on the phones, but they're like, you're asking too much. And he was just like, nah, homie, I like what I got.
Let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Besides, we know offensively, nobody's trying to see the Sox coming. They ain't trying to see that. So we know offensively, it's not an issue. Tell me this. Wait. But tell me this question. What pitching staff in Major League Baseball do you look at that has a 1 through 4 that you're like, that's lethal? There's nobody. If you go to the Dodgers, you've got, obviously you look at Walker, obviously just the bottom line is that most teams running maybe have 2 solid and their 3s and 4s are good. So technically from the White Sox stand, if you get Giolito in the right mindset, okay, solid outing. I like Dallas Keuchel. I called for Keuchel last year. Pretty much he's had fantastic outings. So then you get into Cease, Dunning. The thing about it is, you have enough people who can come back, and this other piece people don't think about. Rodon's going to come back and probably be in middle relief, and that's going to be lethal. You're going to have a starter sitting in middle relief. So there's a bigger piece to this puzzle you have to look at. But if you can tell me one squad in the MLB that you look at their 1 through 4, and you're like, they're slaying it, okay. But I'm telling you, that's not the blueprint you're seeing right now, because everybody is having struggles because of the abbreviated system. Even the Cubs don't have a 1 through 4 that's solid. And I respect the fact that they went out and did some stuff because they were having some issues. But I'll say this too, the expectations. Let me ask you a question. They go out and they do something in the trade deadline. If it doesn't matriculate into a World Series, was it worth it?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely worth it.
If it doesn't.
hold on. You can't say to our fans that we didn't make moves. What I'm saying is that because Rick Hahn, and I know that he's in love with his prospects because, like Ivan was saying, they had TV shows for this guy. You know, they even did his wedding live in reality TV. And, yeah, you know, like he was supposed to be this next super prospect. You see what I mean? So my thing is that what good is it? And like I said earlier today, to have a new car if you can't drive it, trade that new car in for something that you can drive.
No one trades in a new car.
Hold on. Well, all I was saying is that Clevenger would have put fear in the hearts. He already put fear in the hearts of the American League because Cleveland is competing. He's actually their best pitcher. What better situation you could have had than to land him, add him in that rotation with Keuchel and Giolito, and you guys could have cruised through the rest of the season. But now, what's going to happen? You guys are going to get a lot of runs, okay? Y'all going to score a lot of runs. Don't get me wrong. Y'all got the best offensive. I think y'all got one of the best offensive lineups there. But when it comes to pitching matchups, you know, I'm telling you now, y'all need that consistency. Y'all need proven starters in this situation, and that's going to take y'all to that World Series.
You're right, because right now they have a losing record, and somehow they haven't gotten to where they are with the pitching staff that they have. You're right. So somehow the pitching staff they have hasn't gotten them to where they are, and they're doing things that no one expected. So that's interesting, because if their pitching staff was as god-awful as you're trying to slice it up to be,
no, I didn't say it's bad.
No, I'm just calling it like I see it, because you're downplaying that this pitching staff has worked and it's installment. So what you're trying to tell me is it isn't good enough, but it's funny because it's good enough to have them at the top of their division, and that was an expectation that wasn't there. So you're discounting. There's nothing worse than people tell you you can't do something.
Maya,
this is also coming from a Cub fan, and I swear to God, I know Dan Hayes is ready to talk.
Are you trying to win the division of the World Series?
Right. Are you comfortable with Cease? Are you comfortable with Cease at number 3 going into a playoff?
Yes.
Are you very comfortable with
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I am.
I think Cease is a year away from having that confidence in.
Okay, but you know what? Here's the difference, though. It's not for you to guess that, because you know what?
I'm not guessing. I'm saying from what I see. I'm just saying this is too inconsistent to be able to trust in a playoff series like that.
That's exactly what
you also have to understand that that's a different season. He has a different season, and we've seen how competitive he is, and that when you get to a playoffs, it's amped up a notch. He might be that type of gamer. Like regular season's great, but when you get to the playoffs and you know what's on the line, he could be that type of gamer. We don't know. We'll see. Don't get me wrong. If we had Clevenger, I'd be happy as a pig and slop as well, but we don't. So we got to go with Cease, and I have my faith in Cease. So listen, we got to take a break. So we got a good old friend coming up on the other side of the break. Hey, Joseph, thanks again, Papa. I will see you on Friday. We had a phenomenal discussion today. Got a little heated, but I love it.
Hey,
he knew I was coming for him today. He knew it. I told him on the night.
I heard it. It's all barbershop talk. It's all it is. Barbershop.
Yeah, it is our barbershop talk. Hey, great stuff, Papa. We will see you on Friday. All right.
All right. God bless you, guys.
All right, guys. We got to take a quick break, because on the other side of the break, we're gonna get a Twins perspective from a guy who used to be here in Chicago at NBC Sports Chicago, but now he works for The Athletic covering the Twins, and that's our good friend Dan Hayes. So don't go anywhere, folks. Keep it locked right here. Dan Hayes from The Athletic coming up next right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Here's the 1-0, swinging a smash on the ground. Base hit up the middle, base hit to center. Rounding third is Horner. He's going to score. Cubs take the lead. Ian Happ, a sharp ground ball, even though they had the picket fence on the right side of the diamond. Happ hit a bullet on the ground.
Cubs radio with the call. Ian Happ with the RBI single in the top of the 11th, pushing Chicago past the Pirates 8-7. This coming after the Cubs had blown a 6-1 lead. Pittsburgh erupted for 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th. Rough day for Cubs starter John Lester, 5 runs on 8 hits over 5 1/3. He struck out 3 and walked 3. Elsewhere, Byron Buxton hit an RBI single to break up the tie and give the Twins a 3-2 lead over the White Sox. The Cardinals pounded the Reds 16-2 the final in Cincinnati. Brad Miller with 7 RBI. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at boomernaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330-95.9 The Zone.
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal, and the only one that's trending. Up to date, around the clock, what you need from who you know. With storm fronts, stand-ups, live news, and points of view.
And that's Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt.
And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free. Upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Content availability may vary over time.
If you knew there was an energy shot that also helped you lose weight, would you try it? Real Ketones Keto Energy Shots give you sustained energy without the sugar jitters or crash. That's why Keto Energy Shots constantly get 5-star reviews. The secret is our patented all-natural ingredient DBHB. This powerful ingredient revs up your metabolism and turns your body into a fat-burning machine in only minutes. Feel energized while shredding unwanted pounds. Pull into a CVS now and look for Keto Energy Shots in the weight loss aisle, or go to realketones.com.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on this Hump Day edition. It's Wildin' Out Wednesday. We were wilding out too on that top of the morning segment. It got a little heated, and you know what? I like it. I like it. I like it.
I'm telling you, Cub fans are just trying to insert negative energy into it. I'm like, White Sox fans clearly understand what Rick Hahn's objectives are. And I said, if we've watched everything he's done this far and where it's matriculated to, we're actually a little bit ahead of where we should be. No one thought we'd be leading the division or we could even compete at this level. So I think it's like they're discounting that he's been making moves to make this kind of thing happen. And I'm like you, Shawn, we don't know what was being asked for to get someone like Clevenger. We don't know. And you don't give up everything to just be in the moment, because then I feel like we're having a Kenny Williams moment. Because I want to win for multiple seasons. I don't want just a one-season win. And I'm not saying I don't think this team can do it, but, you know, I don't know. I think they're being very
our next guy can speak on both, because he was here for a long time. So he's seen Rick Hahn, he's seen Kenny Williams, and now he's on. He covers the Twins for The Athletic. Good friend of the program. You can find him on Twitter at Dan Hayes MLB. Guys, let's bring him back. Goes from a long time. Good friend Dan Hayes. Dan, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I can already tell you about Clevenger right away off the bat, because the Twins wanted him too, and the Indians to trade him in division would have taken like 3 times what the Padres gave up. It would not have. And the Padres gave up. I know what the Padres gave up did not look like amazing.
Yeah, it does not at all.
But it's what the Indians do, is that they get these bulk trades because they get 6 guys that they know can help them for the long term. And they know that all those guys most likely are going to be major leaguers, and they're going to have to lose Francisco Lindor. And the shortstop they got should be able to step in next year and start for them. So the Padres got 6 or gave up 6 usable players. The Indians probably would have wanted something like 9 guys from the White Sox or 9 guys from the Twins. It really would have been, just because of giving up that talent in the division, it would have been even more. I think both teams were smart to stay away, as much as both teams could have benefited from having a guy like that in the rotation. And you know, the White Sox, it would have accelerated their timeline by far, but they're already working on an accelerated timeline. Nobody expected them to be here, and it certainly was an interesting day to see what these teams were going to do, because you're only getting these guys for 25 days and maybe 3 days of the playoffs, and it's hard to see when you already have, if you get in the first round of your White Sox and you have Giolito and you have Keuchel going in 2 of those 3 games, I think I'm feeling pretty good about my chances with whoever else I throw out there in the other 3, because I think I can win those 2 games.
Yeah, you know, and rumor, it was reported that it was Kopech and Adam Engel. Adam Engel, well, those are the 2 biggest names. Adam Engel, fine, I could let him go. I mean, it would hurt because he's a great defender and late in the game. But that Kopech, we just don't know what he is. We've seen flashes of brilliance from him, his few starts here in the bigs, but we don't know. Maybe he turns out to be a Rodon, or a Mark Pryor, or a Kerry Wood, guys who couldn't stay healthy with all the talent in the world. You know, so I see both sides of the argument. But if I had to make a decision, I say, you know what, give me the long term.
Yeah.
right? We have Kopech under control for a lot longer than we would have Mike. I can't even think of Clevenger. We would have, because he has arbitration next year and 22. So and then after that he's a free agent. He probably would have been asking way too much. So the fact that we would have had Kopech longer, to me, was, that's staying safe, and that's not even being safe. That's just kind of being smart. But let's get right to the series. I was hoping for a 2-game sweep to this point to talk to you, but man, our bullpen gave it up late last night. Give me your thoughts. I read your article. The Twins are not in a good place. They the team that hit, what was it, 7,400 something home runs last year. They're just not being able to get it done at the plate. Give me your thought. You're around these guys every day. Give me your thoughts. And is it rock bottom for them? And how soon can they bounce off of rock bottom?
Yeah, last night was huge for the Twins to get some of that energy back, and they're banking on Byron Buxton coming back healthy, Michael Pineda coming back healthy, although just being Michael Pineda not coming back healthy because he wasn't injured. Michael Pineda coming back from the suspension and being as good as he was last year, which he was last night. They're counting on Josh Donaldson coming back, and he comes back today. He hasn't played since July 31st. They need him. I mean, they gave him a 4-year, $92 million contract in the offseason. Now they need him to live up to that. And, they're taking some risks by counting on that kind of performance. They're taking risks by guys kind of reverting to form. But I don't know that there was anything else that they really could do that made sense unless they wanted to give up one of their top 3 guys prospect-wise. And even then, I didn't see a difference maker that was available to them, because I just don't think that the White Sox or the Twins truly had access to Clevenger. I don't think Cleveland wanted to give one of them that kind of guy to add to the rotation. And certainly the White Sox, I wouldn't want to add him to Giolito and Keuchel. I think the White Sox might even have a bigger price, because you look at what that offense can do. That's a frightening offense. And we're talking about Eloy being only in his second year, Luis Robert being in his first month and a half of action. I would not give anybody with those 2 guys and Tim Anderson and Yohan Moncada more pitching. The White Sox are too talented already. You have Vaughn coming in the near future. Madrigal looks like he could be a player. Abreu is amazing, and it's so great to see them be good for him after he's paid his dues for 6 years. So I wouldn't have surrendered pitching. Sorry, I know I'm getting away from the Twins.
No, it's okay.
But it just, you look at the White Sox line, and it's where the Twins were last year, where there's confidence throughout the group. Even when you have your Danny Mendick and your Angles and guys who aren't the most fearsome guys in there, those guys take advantage of all the big bats around them. And the Twins need to regain a lot of that. It isn't happening right now, but last night was a huge win for them just in getting back to that, because they came through. I mean, they basically said, we're going to get our guys back, and this is going to be the boost. And Byron Buxton comes out and has 2 hard singles, and robs a home run and has the game-winning singles. So I think that was a big moment for the Twins. I actually still think they can win the division. They pitched well enough. What they really need to do, though, is get some more offense, because they cannot keep playing these 3-2 games, and that seems like what it's been like for 2-3 weeks.
And that's what I was going to ask you, was that when you obviously coming into the season, there was high expectations for the Sox, but no one really knew how this was going to shake out, so to speak, with all these new moving parts. So it was the Twins were the team to beat in the division. The White Sox start their season. It wasn't a good outing initially, but I felt like first game, not surprised. I was really looking at this series to see how they stacked up. And now you kind of just said to me, I was like, now that it kind of feels like this could be a 3-way race, maybe not anymore. It might be a 2-way race. Where do you feel the White Sox will struggle against the Twins? And if they can't win the division, like, where's the one thing the Twin is going to dominate them? Or where is it that also the Sox can dominate the Twins to take advantage?
I still think bullpen is the area the Twins have the edge. And if they play tight games, that's going to matter, like we saw last night. But that being said, I think the White Sox have a lot of really good arms because you see the way they pitched in the opener, and Hewer came in and throws hard. And, like you look at the group that pitched on Monday for the White Sox, that was really good. I still think that the Twins, what they did was they built out their bullpen. You're talking about guys last night who got the win in Caleb Thielbar and the save, and Matt Whistler, who were their 8th and 12th guys going in. I mean, we saw the Twins try to empty the bullpen on Monday with Tyler Duffy going in the 4th inning. Trevor May coming in the 6th or the 7th inning. The full Twins bullpen pitch that night, it struggled because that group is kind of beat up from having been in a bunch of tight games. But then the depth areas came through on Tuesday. And I think that the Twins depth should help that other group get through some of these struggles, because that other group is just so tired and beat up, having pitched in game after game after game. I don't know that the White Sox could match that. But then again, the 2020 White Sox can hit like the 2019 Twins did and might not be in these games very often. I just think the Twins, if their offense comes around, are built for the tight games and for the blowouts. They really are a complete team, and I don't know that the White Sox are quite there yet. You look at I think Ronaldo Lopez, I think the Twins can give him trouble in the series finale tonight, and then all of a sudden you're back at a half game. They've always done really well against Ronaldo Lopez, and you look at that, the Twins have, for the most part, a 5-deep rotation. I think the White Sox have 2 great pitchers in Keuchel and Giolito, and then 3 guys with some question marks. I love Cease's potential, but I think obviously he's got some room to grow. And I look at Ronaldo. I love Ronaldo Lopez's stuff. I love the kid's head because I talked to him when he got traded, and I like how he thinks about stuff. He just hasn't kind of put it all together. And obviously that's some of the areas where I think the Twins can outlast them. That said, the White Sox have shown that they can just beat you up and beat up your pitching staff in those first couple games, and that's that won the Twins 101 games last year. So the good part is all 3 of these teams are in the playoffs, and so we're all going to see some October baseball no matter what. I mean, the Twins were born in the playoffs this year. I think their chances were 99.9% that they were going to make the playoffs from the start. The White Sox have played up to that. They need probably 4 or 5 more wins, and they're in, and they're easily going to get that.
Guys, we're talking with Dan Hayes from The Athletic, who covers the Twins right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
And it's interesting you say that, because I look at, there's 24 games, I think, left in the season. And I'm looking at their schedule, which says so much about kind of where you are in the stretch. And so obviously you've got those division matchups. So they'll see Detroit again, Cleveland, and the Sox. And we know that there's going to be grudge matches in there. But it's interesting, they're out of division games. They have to face up the Cubs for 3 games. And they get Cincinnati for 3 games. It's how they close out their season. So to me, it's like, it's interesting, because to me, what's hard about their schedule with the Twins is they have Cleveland. They see St. Louis too. So they see St. Louis for 2 games, then Cleveland for 3, the Sox for 4, the Cubs for 3. That's a lot of work to have to win. When to end of their schedule, to me, is going to be really rigorous, so to speak.
Yeah, it's funny because they played great against those teams at the start of the season, and then they just have been terrible against Kansas City and Detroit. And so they swept St. Louis for 2 early on. What I like about that for any team that plays St. Louis the rest of the way is St. Louis is just tired. The Twins are getting a double header on Tuesday next week against them to make up for the fact that St. Louis is playing 22 double headers, to make up for all those games. And that's going to catch up. That was I wonder how long they can make it last with all those double headers. But you're right. The Sox do have a tough end, because that series, Cincinnati, those are 3 tough pitchers. Regardless of who the Reds field out there, it's going to be 3 tough starting pitchers. It's a tough week at Chicago on their their last road trip. But, they've shown this knack for playing up against the competition. So I think, it's the weaker teams that they've struggled against. They just seem to play Cleveland very well, and they have forever. And And obviously we've seen some battles between the White Sox and the Twins so far, and I expect that to continue.
You know, one of the guys that you mentioned who was coming back was Buxton, and he had a great game yesterday, and he saved that home run. God, I cursed so loud when I was watching it. I remember I just got out of the shower and I was like, oh, mother, beep! Like, damn it, when he came in. What else does this guy bring? You know, besides, you know, taking home runs like Adam Engel did last year, what else does he bring to the table that's going to make him so effective in this Twins lineup?
It's really his energy and just the way he plays. The team really depends on him. They feed off him just because you see it, you know, last night was the first pennant game that he's gotten to play in since 2017 because last year he got hurt on August 1st. He separated his shoulder, had to have labrum surgery in September, and he had played as a defensive replacement or a pinch runner 5 times in the pennant race, but he hadn't started. And 18 was a wash because of injuries, and the Twins pulled some service time stuff with him and didn't bring him back. Not that they were in the race anyways. So, but he's just infectious, and he's a guy that everybody loves being around. And I think that you put a guy like that in the middle of this, a guy that wants to be out there. You know, the Twins have kind of suffered from an energy loss these last 10 days, and that's when he went on the IL. I just think that guys feed off of him. He makes the outfield so much better. But beyond that, you see the way he hits the ball. He's gotten so much more aggressive in the last year and a half. He redefined what he was. He basically stopped listening to what everybody was telling him, went back to the basics and stripped it down. And when you have that power speed combo, you can turn a single into a double every time. And we've seen that. I mean, last year, I think he played 87 games, somewhere in that range, and he had 30 doubles. He was looking really good, and he got hurt, and it was unfortunate. This one was a little bit of an easier injury, but when he is on the field, he is one of the most dynamic players in the division. And you see this power speed combo in Yohan Moncada, and you realize how rare that is. It's those guys that change the game, and Luis Robert obviously has it too. When he can catch routine fly balls in left field, it's got to be one of my favorite highlights. All the game-winning hits, all the home runs are great, but it's when he runs over and cuts off Eloy Jimenez and catches those fly balls. That's my favorite Luis Robert moments. But those guys are difference makers, and so for Buxton to be back is huge for the Twins.
Do you think this is, as you've seen it thus far in the season, the best lineup for the Twins as they are? Because you have to feel like, I kind of feel like Nelson Cruz is in this odd space right now. I think he's adjusted his game beautifully to make it work, but you got to think if you get better, production out of Sano, if Nelson Cruz kind of heats up, because there's a couple players to me that still, if they heat up into the stretch, that makes them more lethal to me, because I don't think the bats are as hot as we saw them last year. But do you think the lineup as it's kind of been now is the best it can be, or do you think there's some things that could be shuffled to make it more advantageous for them?
Well, Jorge Polanco needs to start hitting for power again. Last year he had 70-ish extra base hits. He has 8 right now. He's just not hitting the ball in the air for power. Max Kepler had a good start. First pitch of the season, hits a home run. He's had some good moments, but this is a guy that should have been an all-star last year, and he has not been that this year. Eddie Rosario's hit and miss. He had a big kind of hit against or a couple hits against Dallas Keuchel, and that's good moments. And you saw him kind of spark that second inning rally, I think it was, against Giolito with a nice walk. He's been way more patient this year, and that's helped. But he's not hitting with the authority that he has. Cruz and Sano are the only guys that have stayed the course for them and kept them up there. Cruz has been unbelievable, and he's 40, and I think he leads the American League in home runs. But Sano has figured some things out and has come around, but beyond that, it's really been just a total crapshoot with his offense. Luis Arraez had a big pinch hit double last night to tie the game. Yes. Last year he was getting comparisons to Tony Gwynn and Rod Carew. And he has those kind of bat to ball skills. It's similar. I think he has even better bat to ball skills than Tim Anderson, and that's a high compliment for the guy that just won the batting title last year. But I think Arise, those two guys have a different kind of skill set, and Arise is 22 last year when he was doing what he did last year, and playing with confidence that is out of nowhere. And I think Anderson has. Anderson could put the ball anywhere. There was a ground ball that Anderson made a play on last night that he was one of the few guys in baseball could beat that play. And I think Marwin Gonzalez was out by 9 feet. Tim Anderson goes far to his right and makes this amazing throw. And he could have beat maybe himself there. That's what why Anderson's so good at baseball, is because he can flick the ball to right field. He can hit it to the gaps, and he can put the ball on the ground. Arise seems to live in the gaps, and teams have scouted him a little bit better, but there's still more in that tank. With all that said, the Twins have gotten maybe 40% of their offense's capability so far this year. Donaldson hasn't played since July 31st, and that is definitely that should help them when they get him back. He has 3 weeks to get right for the playoffs, basically.
Let me ask you this, for the Cub fans that listen to the show and interact with us. There seems to be that the Twins have no fear of the White Sox. And I don't know so much if it's about fear for me, Dan, as much as it's about respect. Respecting that this team isn't like the team they've played previous seasons. From your perspective, do you believe the Twins realize, okay, this is legitimately a team that could jump up and bite us? We can't look at them like they're not truly a contender, regardless if moves were made or not, to I guess get better for what everyone feels like. Yeah, by the deadline.
That offense has more respect with all respect to Cubs fans who say that no, that's incorrect, because one of the beauties of no fans, that one of the only parts about no fans that's kind of enjoyable is you can hear almost everything being said down the field when it's said at a higher volume.
Yes.
And I tweeted this the other night that at least 4 Twins pitchers started. They used the word. The first 2 letters were "fu" and it did not end with an N. They were not having fun out there. They were yelling something else out. And that's because the White Sox have a thorough, deep lineup. I mean, on that Monday game, they score 8 runs. There was no Moncada. There was no Grandal in the lineup. And you're talking about a team that thoroughly exhausted the Twins to the point where Tyler Duffy pitched. That's the first time Tyler Duffy, who is one of the best relievers in baseball, got up and down and came back in the second inning. That's the first time this season that Trevor May has started one inning and come back the next. That's how much respect Rocco Baldelli was throwing towards the White Sox lineup.
Guys, he's Dan Hayes from The Athletic. Great stuff, buddy. Hey, keep doing that great work, man. That article was pretty darn good, man. Hey, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Yeah, you can check us out at The Athletic. Wait, there it is. There, you can check us out at The Athletic. Also, Dan Hayes MLB on Twitter.
Hey, great stuff, buddy. Are you back home, or I know you? Are you here?
No, I was in Chicago on whatever day that was, Sunday. I drove up to Minnesota on Monday, and then I'll be back next week.
Okay. Hey, good stuff, buddy. Great having you on, man. We appreciate it every time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. Guys, that was Dan Hayes from The Athletic, who covers the Twins. Remember, he used to cover the White Sox for NBC Sports Chicago, so he's got a unique perspective where he's seen most of these guys. But he saw Luis Roberts, the Moncada, but this was before they actually played. They were down in the minors, so he's got a good perspective.
The thing I think, I kind of see it this way: baseball is different than, let's say, football in the sense that, yes, pitchers are respected. People respect you on the mound, but let's be honest, it's all about swinging the bat that gets people intrigued. So it's rare you're going to hear a team say, we don't want to play the Cubs because their pitching is off the chain. But you will hear them say, we don't want to face bats like Bryant, Schwarber. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's this overstatement for people who say the pitching isn't good enough for the White Sox. I disagree, because they've gotten them this far and they're ahead of schedule. It's what people fear is their offense. And we talk about having identity, which I think works really well into our next guest. Let's be honest. The White Sox identity is their offense, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Not a damn thing. We got to take a quick break. On the other side of the break, we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk a little NFL. We're going to talk about the Bears, my team, our team. Well, I don't know about Maya's team. We got to figure that out, how she's doing. Yeah, are you Minnesota Twins? Are you Minnesota Vikings still this year? Or
Yeah, we're still hanging out.
Okay. That's your entanglement?
Yes. I'm still a bit entangled with the Vikings right now. Yes.
We're going to talk a little Bears football with our guy from Sports Mockery, Eric Lambert. So don't go anywhere, folks. Bears talk up next right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Here's the 1-0, swinging a smash on the ground. Base hit up the middle, base hit to center. Rounding third is Horner. He's going to score. Cubs take the lead. Ian Happ, a sharp ground ball, even though they had the picket fence on the right side of the diamond. Happ hit a bullet on the ground.
Cubs radio with the call. Ian Happ with the RBI single in the top of the 11th, pushing Chicago past the Pirates 8-7. This coming after the Cubs had blown a 6-1 lead. Pittsburgh erupted for 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th. Rough day for Cubs starter John Lester, 5 runs on 8 hits over 5 1/3. He struck out 3 and walked 3. Elsewhere, Byron Buxton hit an RBI single to break up the tie and give the Twins a 3-2 lead over the White Sox. The Cardinals pounded the Reds 16-2 the final in Cincinnati. Brad Miller with 7 RBI. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. And the only one that's trending. Up to date, around the clock, what you need from who you know. With storm fronts, stand-ups, live news, and points of view.
And that's Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt.
And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free. Upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Content availability may vary over time.
If you knew there was an energy shot that also helped you lose weight, would you try it? Real Ketones Keto Energy Shots give you sustained energy without the sugar, jitters, or crash. That's why Keto Energy Shots constantly get 5-star reviews. The secret is our patented all-natural ingredient DBHB. This powerful ingredient revs up your metabolism and turns your body into a fat-burning machine in only minutes. Feel energized while shredding unwanted pounds. Pull into a CVS now and look for Keto Energy Shots in the weight loss aisle, or go to realketones.com.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago on this Hump Day edition. Maya, it's gonna be a nice day today. It's 85 degrees out in the shy. Man, I need someone with a pool. You got any big plans after the show?
I'm actually, for a change of pace, I'm actually going to run during the day, because usually it's so hot by noon. I won't go. I'll run in the morning, but for some reason I've been really lazy and not wanting to get up at 5:30 lately. But I've also been doing Orange Theory, which I'm in love with.
I've heard phenomenal. Remember, Bob told us that Jono in Arizona was in love with that.
So I've started Orange Theory, and I'm in love. I like group fitness stuff. I really do. But here's 2 things I love about it. One, the rower actually is a water-based rower. So when you row, it feels like you're actually, paddling through water. I've never ran on a treadmill like this when it's called free motion. And the impact is so soft, you feel like you're running on air. It's the craziest thing. I have never run for 15 minutes straight a day in my life until I was at Orange Theory.
Really?
Because it's a special kind of treadmill. It's like the way it's set up, it's like there's no impact. And it's like it kind of propels you forward. So it's really interesting. I always tell everybody, try out something once, because you can do a free class and you'll probably get hooked on it. It's a challenge. It's hard. They get you doing stuff. I'm like, am I gonna be okay with that? You know. But I'm gonna run during the day. So I'm gonna go out at noon and actually go run 4 miles. I've upped my from 3 to 4 now.
Okay. Well, again, speaking of running, hopefully this team can pick up on that concept. Our next guest is going to talk about whether or not they can make their quote-unquote identity or not. Guys, let's welcome in. He works for Sports Mockery. He covers the Bears. You can find him on Twitter at Eric Lambert1. Guys, welcome back to Shawn and Maya, Eric Lambert. Eric, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you?
It's been a while, at least for me. I haven't seen you in a while.
Haven't seen you in a while, Maya.
Yeah, I pop up every now and then.
Saving the world, stopping people from doing crazy things.
Yes. So it's always good to have you. Always good to have you back, especially since we're about to embark upon what's a very interesting NFL season. We have questions if the NFL is ready for this season, but the better question is, are the Bears ready for this season?
It is a great question, but, in terms of talent, they're absolutely ready for this season. I think they're deeper than they were last year, especially on offense. It's a question of, are they more focused? Are they going to be more detailed, make fewer mistakes? Because if they do and they can get, moderately okay quarterback play, I think this can be a playoff team. I genuinely do.
Okay, so let's talk about we're not going to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, but let's talk about the running game, okay? Let's talk about this. What are they doing? Okay, Leonard Fournette just got released. Alvin Kamara is apparently up on the block. Apparently New Orleans is not happy with him holding out. What do the Bears do? Should the Bears have been in contact with him, or are they just going to wait, sit and lay in the weeds until Saturday, when the final cuts are made and they have a little bit bigger of a pool to choose from and maybe not so big of a contract? Because although Leonard Fournette did clear waivers, so you don't have to pay him his $4 million, you can offer him whatever you want. Are the Bears just waiting till Saturday to see what else they can just to increase their pool?
I absolutely do believe that's their plan. It's always been Ryan Pace's MO to sort of play it cheap at running back, which is probably why they didn't go after Fournette. He's a talented guy, don't get me wrong, and I think he would actually produce pretty well in this offense. He never gets enough credit for how athletic he actually is, and he had over 500 receiving yards last year. He has connections to John DeLaFipo, so there are connections on this team, and it would make some sense, but Pace has always played it cheap. And I think the running back pool is going to be pretty deep when cuts do finally come down. So I think they're going to wait and just, get somebody they like that they can just sort of add to the mix of the committee.
One of the things that really bothers me is his lack of commitment to the run game. Okay. Exactly. His lack of commitment. You need horses, first of all, that offensive line. But you need horses in the back. And I don't know. Talk to me about this whole Cordell Patterson thing. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of gimmicks. If you use him, they're actually making him a real running back, not a gimmick guy anymore. Dude, he's 6'4". I've stood next to the dude. All right, the dude's 6'4". I don't know how many running backs are 6'4". He's a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver height at running back. It's going to get him a lot of pounding, a lot of beating. And can he take that pounding? I don't know. Give me your thoughts on this. I don't know, experiment of Cordell Patterson as an actual full-time running back.
They have switched him to running back, but I think part of that is they just want to move him to another part of the depth chart so they can make more room for wide receivers, because they actually do have a lot of guys at that position that look pretty good. Darnell Mooney is looking really strong in training camp. You got Ted Ginn Jr. and both Riley Ridley and Javon Wims have really stepped it up in camp as well. So they're trying to make as much room for those guys as possible. And a good way to do that is maybe shift Patterson over to running back. And he does have productivity in his history at running back. It's just a question of how many carries are you going to be able to get him, depending on what happens with Montgomery and Cohen and all these other guys. So it's a question of Nagy sort of towing a line between, not giving him too much to get him worn down for kickoff duties and all that stuff, but at the same time trying to get the ball in his hands more often because he is absolutely a playmaker. It's a sort of a tough balance, but I do see what they're trying to do. They're not trying to transform him into, a featured type back, but they do want to get him more involved in the running game because he can be explosive, and explosiveness was what they didn't have last year. I hear you. I think they need another running back, period. They just need, and that's why I thought Leonard Fournette was a great sign.
Really?
Yeah, I thought he was because of what the Bears want. They want a guy who can obviously run the ball. He had 1,100 yards last year. 2 out of his 3 seasons. He had 1,100 yards. They need a guy who can catch out of the backfield. That was the reason they got rid of Jordan Howard. And people talk like mentioned Alvin Kamara, and I'm like, Alvin Kamara is really, really good, but how is he going to be in the winter? How is he going to be when it's 30 below or 30 or 20 or 0 and it's a little sloppy? Okay, Alvin Kamara is based on speed, and that doesn't translate very well here in Chicago since, apparently according to their researchers that they don't need artificial turf. I digress. A Leonard Fournette is a guy who can be a mutter. His mother's a mutter, his father's a mutter. I'm kidding. All my Seinfeld fans know what I'm talking about. But he's built for that. He had 500 yards receiving last year, 70-something catches. So it's not like this guy can't, he's shown you in on the tape that he can do everything you want a running back to do. So I hope they go after him or someone who's similar to him, because now you got David Montgomery, who's a shifty guy who can get away, but I also need a power guy. I'm tired of these trick plays, a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 1.5, 3rd and 2, and you're running a double, triple reverse with a pass to the eligible tackle eligible. No, give me some guys who are going to slam it up in there, get you 2.5, 3 yards, get you the first down, and stop this nonsense. Football is a game of it's a collision sport. It's not a contact sport. And sometimes you need to just say, hey, listen, here's 2 yards. We're running it right here. Stop us. And the Bears don't have that mentality.
I mean, they
did
don't.
have that mentality in 2018.
Right. I'm like, having the mentality, but also wanting to utilize it is two different things. I mean, what's funny? We're talking about the run game because that's what the Bears' identity is. It's a run team. But that's not what their coach wants. So why make this investment in something that's not going to be used in the first place? Unless someone's going to make him do it. Why bring another piece to the puzzle that's not going to be used the way that it should be used? What's the point?
It's a fair question, but I think Nagy wants to reach a position where this is why he hired Juan Castillo. One thing that has always stood out about Juan Castillo is he's never built highly productive running games, but he has built running games that can get more bang for your buck. He's almost always been top 10 in yards per carry every single year, top 10 with the Eagles, with Baltimore, all the places he's stopped. And I think that's what Nagy's actually going for. He wants to be able to run the ball when he wants to, not when he has to, because he feels that if he can get the running game to pop off whenever he hands the ball off, or at least most of the time, that'll help the quarterbacks, which is what he's always wanted to build around. And it's been proven that this can work with somebody, especially Foles. I mean, the Eagles back in 2017 weren't a heavy running team, but they were a productive running team whenever they did decide to run. And Foles really benefited from that in terms of RPOs, in terms of play action. And you saw the results of that going all the way to the Super Bowl. So I think that's where Nagy wants to get. He doesn't want to become a pure running team. He wants to get the running game to a point where it can at least be productive when he decides to run the football. And that's what Castillo was brought in to do.
Okay, well, you know me, I kind of subscribe to the theory, I'll believe it when I see it. Because there's a lot of things that to me is more about a culture shift. That's part of what that makes them not be the team they could be. So it sounds good, but I don't know. I'll believe it when I see Nagy do those things that really put them in a position to win. And because we just know that that's not where his passion lies necessarily. But that's the ways they could win. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know that I feel like picking up another running back is a way to go, especially if that's not where your focus is. But we'll see.
You know, Eric, talk to me about this. And here's the thing that has me really, really concerned is the shift to Juan Castillo. Okay, you take a guy in Harry Hiestand who was extremely was well respected throughout the league. You get rid of him and as a scapegoat, I guess. Okay, in addition to Helfrich, to get scapegoats. But now you're asking a new guy to come in. You're asking first of all, you didn't have a right guard. Okay, Kyle Long was hurt, so whoever, I forgot, some bum that got off the street just didn't have it. Your two tackles had very bad years from after having 2 good years the previous year. And then is your left guard, your center, your left guard, or vice versa. Okay, you got a lot of different things going on here. Now you're bringing a new guy, now you're going to ask him to these guys to learn new terminology. Maybe it's a different style of a different scheme, a different philosophy. And now you're asking 5 guys who had a rough year last year to get one new guy in there, Jermaine Ifedi, who it seems like is going to get that right starting gig. Now you have to learn new terminology, a new scheme, new blocking scheme, new. this is too much for me. And if you want, I don't care who's back there, whether it's Foles or Mitch, if you can't run the ball, they're going to be on their ass most of the time because they're not going to respect the run game at all. And I think it's a lot to ask this team, this offense, which needs to be at least middle of a pack. It's a lot to have an offensive line in such flux.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely is a concern, and rightfully so. They didn't play well last year. The running game was atrocious, and the pass protection was spotty at best. And I think Keystan, I don't think they were going for necessarily an upgrade in terms of, going from Keystan to Castillo. It was more about the type of mentality that Nagy is looking for from that area of his offense. He felt that Keystan wasn't giving it what he was looking for. So he brought in Castillo, who's much more based in the physical aspect of the game. He loves to get after it. He loves high energy, and he's absolutely relentless in terms of details. And, Nagy himself has always been a detailed guy, being a quarterback and that sort of thing. And he feels he connects with Castillo that way, and that familiarity makes him a lot more comfortable, which is why the hire was made. And from everything I've heard from camp is, while there's still a work in progress, there is signs of hope that they are starting to figure things out in terms of getting more aggressive, getting more physical, and there have been running lanes that probably wouldn't have been there last year. So it is a gamble for sure. I mean, going from a proven offensive line coach like Keystan to Castillo, it is a gamble, especially considering Castillo was out of the league last year. But at the same time, the guy's been in it. He's been in this league a long time. He knows what he has to do. And Ifedi moving to guard, it's a much more natural position for him. He's a big dude. He's long. He's powerful. And I think he'd actually fit that position well. So if they can just get the other four guys to play up to their potential or play closer to where they were in 2018, the line should be okay.
Guys, we're joined by Eric Lambert, the Chicago Bears insider for Sports Mockery, talking Bears football right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. You mentioned the wide receiver group. Talk to me about that, because I'm fired up about that group. I love Javon Wims. I don't know if I love Riley Ridley, because I think he had like 5 snaps last year, and they're all in garbage time. So you never really got to see his pristine route running that he's so famous for. But talk to me about these guys, and I completely forgot about Ted Ginn Jr. You mentioned him, like, oh, snap, that's right, they got Ted Ginn Jr. But I want those young guys. What have you heard about the young guys? Because for me, Riley Ridley is a guy, he's kind of like a one-trick pony, but the one trick is almost indefensible, and that's his ability to go up and get the ball. And I think you and I had talked about this, and I know Maya and I have talked about this, like from the 30-yard line in, why not just isolate him on one side and have him go up and get the ball? He's a former basketball player. I think he has a 37-inch vertical. He's 6'3" with a 37-inch vertical. What is so difficult? Sometimes football is very simple. It's just my guy is more athletic than your guy. And Matt Nagy never put him on an island to see, because that's what he did at Georgia. That he wasn't a route runner at Georgia. He was I'm going to go through, a quarterback's going to throw the ball up, and I'm going to jump higher than you and get it. Why does he insist on trying to reinvent the wheel and not use what he has?
Well, from what I understand about Riley Ridley is he kind of got off to a slow start in training camp this year, but he's really, really picked it up in the past week or so. He's making a lot more plays. He's flashing a lot more. His route running has improved, which was a big emphasis for the Bears, and it's a good sign because he's been beating some good defensive backs and making a lot of plays. He's got hands, he's got size, and he's a little faster than people give him credit for. And so if you throw all that together and he's playing with more confidence, which seems to be the case, I think he can absolutely be a factor on offense this year. It's a question of, can he get more opportunities? Because I really feel like the Bears were searching for more explosiveness at wide receiver this year, which is why they drafted Mooney, which is why they signed Ginn, and both have really, lived up to their end of the bargain so far in training camp. They've provided a lot of explosive plays, and then you combine those two with Robinson and Miller, who have both looked great in camp as well. They have a lot more diversity at wide receiver this year, a lot more speed, a lot more athleticism, that sort of thing. And I think that's what they were going for. They want to be as explosive as possible because they just didn't have a lot of big plays last year, and it really hurt them.
I'm sorry. I meant to. Did I say really? I meant Javon Wims is the guy that I want to jump up and go get it from the 30-yard line in, because there's That's what he did at Georgia, and I was thinking of both of them, and I mentioned Ridley instead of – and I do want to see Ridley, and I'm glad he's doing well at camp, but I want to – man, give me some Javon Wims from the 30-yard line in. Just throw it up. Go get it. The guy's got a 37-inch vertical at 6'3". I'll take that chance off, especially if you isolate him and you run a tight end or something, because now we have some tight ends we're going to talk about in a moment. Now we got tight ends that you have to respect. You go right up the middle and you occupy. If it's a single high, you occupy the single high. And now it's me versus you. I'll take Javon Wims any day. 8.5 out of 10 times he's going to win that battle. And Matt Nagy should have known. They know that. This is what he did at Georgia, and he has a tendency not to put players in the best position to be successful, and that's bothersome to me because I know it's an overused phrase. Put him in the best position. You hear that all the time, but he didn't do it with Jordan Howard. He didn't do it. He hasn't done it with Mitch, and now he hasn't done it with a wide receiver in Javon Wims. This is what's really causing me concern about Matt Nagy.
It's a fair concern, but I do think Nagy does more for his players than he gets credit for. That aside, Wims was probably one of the bigger disappointments last year because he did get a lot of opportunities to play. He played a lot more snaps than the previous year. He just really didn't produce. I mean, he didn't make a lot of catches, not many explosive plays. So he was a guy I really had on the bubble this year because I wasn't sure how much better he could get. But from all that I've seen and heard, I've seen some of the clips, and he looks quicker. He looks sharper in his routes, and he's actually, scoring a lot of big touchdown plays. So he seems to have really stepped up his game in terms of understanding the position and playing it like a professional should. And that's really been encouraging to me because he always had talent. We know this. He's got size. He's got deceptive speed. And it was just a question of could he master the intricacies of his position? And it looks like he has because he hasn't backed down from the competition with Ridley at all. And I think that's going to end up earning him a roster spot. Now, will it earn him playing time on the field? That's going to be up to Nagy because he's always been unpredictable with that sort of stuff. But I do think if he does get a chance, he will, end up producing a lot more than he did last year.
I have to believe, we probably are overly critical of Nagy, and I'm not a big Nagy fan either. I do believe he came here with a certain mindset of what type of football he wanted to play, and he just didn't have the personnel that played into how he sees his vision. And I think they had to have a meeting of the minds like, look, I know this is what you want, and we wouldn't mind that either, but right now this is where we are. So I feel like this is a season that we look at this and say, okay, at this point, we know he's not going to overly run the ball, but I think because there's been improvements in different areas like the tight end. A lot of people are lukewarm about Jimmy Graham. I actually like the pickup. Even though people feel like Cole Kmet might be that piece that's going to kind of balance it out and make it a tandem. But I think for Nagy, that allows him to really expand the field more, now feeling like he legitimately has a tight end that can do his job. He's a core that can do it. We know KC was like that. And then having receivers that allows him to air the ball out. So I feel like from an offensive standpoint, they're going to look different. But I also think that tight end piece is something that he want to address. I'm not sure that it's the best in Jimmy Graham, but I think that Cole Kmet piece is balanced. What's your thoughts on that?
I really like what they've done at tight end. Jimmy Graham, yes, he's going to be 34 this year. He's not the same player he was, 7-8 years ago. I understand that, and it's viable to criticize the Bears for what they paid to get him. At the same time, I did feel that this type of offense that the Bears run, which is like Philly, which is like KC, it's tailor-made for playmaking tight ends. You look at Zach Ertz, you look at Travis Kelce, you have an athletic guy, a bigger guy who can go up and get the football. That's Jimmy Graham. And I never felt he was in the best offense when he was in Green Bay. You had a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who really never favored the tight end. He's always been a wide receivers guy. And then you throw in that Matt LaFleur offense. It's just not – it never fit Graham, which is why his production dropped. But I never felt he lost any of his playmaking skills. I mean, he's not as fast as he used to be, but he can still go up and get it. He has great hands, and he can still run for a guy his age. So I think he's actually going to have a bit of a rebound year this year. And then you throw in Cole Kmet. He's a decent blocker as it is. He still has some work to do there. But people really underestimate how good of an athlete he is. You're 6'6", you're 260 pounds, and you run a 4.7 in the 40-yard dash. That's really impressive, okay? And he's got good hands. On top of that, he can run after the catch. Another thing that's been underestimated about him, I think if he can just sort of gain confidence going into this season, those two can actually form a pretty effective tandem and one that people are sleeping on.
I agree with you. I know there's another team out east that had a 2 tight end. They actually started the whole trend of 2 tight ends over in New England. That really worked out for them for a while. Then some people went their own way. But anyway, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at, I'm watching Cole come at the dude is yoked. The dude is jacked up, and he is I am in love with this kid. He's a good kid. First of all, he's a Chicago area kid. Secondly, he was a top tight end coming out in the draft. So that's another thing. We were getting top-notch players again. Okay, thank goodness he's not screwing up the top picks. I think this is one of the areas that's really going to help whoever the quarterback is, in Foles or Mitch. I know we got to let you go soon, but let's really switch to the defense. Give me your thoughts on the defense. No Eddie Goldman. I think that's a big blow in the middle. Who's going to take over his spot? And will they be as effective as Eddie Goldman?
Eddie Goldman is a loss. There's no denying it. He was one of the best nose tackles in the NFL, and you just can't outright replace somebody like that. That being said, I've heard rave reviews about Bilal Nichols. They decided to switch him from defensive end to nose tackle to sort of fill in that void, and he's taken that ball and run with it. I mean, he's looked outstanding in practice. The thing is, though, he's a bit of a different kind of player. He's not going to be that, powerhouse who will stand 2 guys up and really eat up gaps like Goldman was so good at. He's more of a penetrator. He's that guy who can just knife into the backfield and wreak havoc in the backfield. And I think if the Bears just sort of make a tweak to how they attack like that and allow him to be that type of player, this could be a really dangerous type of defensive front in a different way in terms of their interior pass rush, because you already have Robinson Harris, you have Hicks, obviously. So if you allow Nichols to not always have to be like what Goldman was and play his style of football, which is the penetrating type, I think this defense will be as good, maybe even better than they were in 2018, because they are that stacked.
You just gave me goosebumps. You just gave me a defense that was better than 18. Dude, I agree with you. And just because I look at this, we talked about this on Monday, you have to double team Khalil Mack. Is this some ifs, ands, or buts? You have to double team Robert Quinn. He led the NFL in sacks. Okay, that's 4 guys. You have to double team Akeem Hicks. You're not going to leave him one. That's 6 guys. And then we're not even talking the nose guard. We haven't even mentioned the nose guard or the, you know what I mean? Or the other outside or defensive end or outside line. So there's just not enough that front 5, I should say, with linebacker, Khalil Mack, they have to be double teamed. Otherwise, you're looking at a guys like whoever they decide not to double team is gonna lick their chops and like I'm past this dude, me and you quarterback. And that's the thing that's gotten. I'm not trying to be a homer, but as I'm looking at it, I'm saying these guys demand a double team, and if not, it's going to be a long day for your quarterback. And if you do double team them, you have 2 guys going out on the route.
But see, here's the problem with this. And this is the conversation we've been having, I feel like, since I've been watching the Bears. We know defensively they've always been a very solid team. It's who they are. So when we talk about our identity, you're a defensive team, and you're trying to offensively catch up, and this is where the struggles are. So to me, there's no surprise. I asked this question last year, and it wasn't quite where it should be, and I'll say it again. You can be an amazing defense. They can compensate. And I kind of expect a little bit more from Pagano this year, just a tad bit. I want it to look more like a defense that I'd be used to seeing from him. But if the offense can't, take advantage of what they're giving, we're still back to just being this great defensive team that offensively still is lackluster.
Undeniably so. You really can't argue that because we've seen it for so many years at this point. The Bears have had great defenses every single decade, and it's been so frustrating because the offense, it's always been a timing thing with the Bears. Every time they finally seem to figure out the offense, that's when the defense decides to fall apart. You think about 2013, you think about 1995. Both times they had great offenses, but the defense just wasn't what it used to be because by then it was too late. So it's always been a question of timing with the Bears. Will they ever figure out how to build a proper offense to complement what have been some really great defenses? And that's the case again. Can they put it together this year before it's too late? Because age is becoming a factor with a lot of their great players. So it's just, this is the big fear a lot of fans have because they've seen this movie before and they don't want to see it again.
Guys, he's Eric Lambert. I'd love to talk to you more, buddy. We gotta let you go. We're gonna have you back on soon because I want to talk about, do we go after Prince Mukamara? Do you, there's a lot of other questions that I gotta ask. We gotta have you back. But do me a favor, let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
You can find me at Eric Lambert1 on Twitter. I'm on there all the time. Feel free to talk football with me.
Dude, if you're not on there, you're writing an article dude, I love it. I love it. It's awesome because you still put out like 4 articles a day.
Yes.
And you still got 6.
He's like, don't shortcut me.
No, don't shortchange me. And you still got time to argue with fools on Twitter. I love it. Hey, Eric, great stuff, buddy. As always, man, we'll be in touch soon, all right?
Thanks a lot, guys.
All righty. Guys, Eric Lambert from Sports Mockery, 6 articles a day, and he's fighting with fools on Twitter. My man is a football fiend.
He is. I love it. And you gotta follow it because it's some good stuff. I enjoy it. I was like, I don't know why they're doing it, but go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Well, listen, we got to take a quick break, and on the other side of the break, we're going to switch gears, switch back again, and we're going to talk a little baseball from a White Sox perspective. First-time guest on here. She works for Sports Illustrated site, Southside Hit Pen, that site dedicated solely to the good guys on the South Side. We're going to welcome Janet Scurio coming up next with White Sox Talk. So keep it locked right here. Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago.
BoomerNaturals.com presents the Sports Flash on 1330 and 95.9 The Zone.
Here's the 1-0, swinging a smash on the ground. Base hit up the middle, base hit to center. Rounding third is Horner. He's going to score. Cubs take the lead. Ian Happ, a sharp ground ball, even though they had the picket fence on the right side of the diamond. Happ hit a bullet on the ground.
Cubs radio with the call. Ian Happ with the RBI single in the top of the 11th, pushing Chicago past the Pirates 8-7. This coming after the Cubs had blown a 6-1 lead. Pittsburgh erupted for 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th. Rough day for Cubs starter John Lester, 5 runs on 8 hits over 5 1/3. He struck out 3 and walked 3. Elsewhere, Byron Buxton hit an RBI single to break up the tie and give the Twins a 3-2 lead over the White Sox. The Cardinals pounded the Reds 16-2 the final in Cincinnati. Brad Miller with 7 RBI. Boomer Naturals, your source for 3-layer protective face masks. Breathable protection for adults and kids. Save 20% with promo code SPORTS at BoomerNaturals.com. Chuck Sanders, that's the Sports Flash, 1330 95.9 The Zone.
Introducing Peacock, the new free streaming service from NBC Universal. And the only one that's trending. Up to date, around the clock, what you need from who you know. With storm fronts, stand-ups, live news, and points of view.
And that's Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt.
And that's why you can't not watch. Peacock. Watch for free. Upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com. Content availability may vary over time.
If you knew there was an energy shot that also helped you lose weight, would you try it? Real Ketones Keto Energy Shots give you sustained energy without the sugar, jitters, or crash. That's why Keto Energy Shots constantly get 5-star reviews. The secret is our patented all-natural ingredient DBHB. This powerful ingredient revs up your metabolism and turns your body into a fat-burning machine in only minutes. Feel energized while shredding unwanted pounds. Pull into a CVS now and look for Keto Energy Shots in the weight loss aisle. Or go to realketones.com.
Welcome back to Shawn and Maya in the morning on SportsZone Chicago. Man, we have a great day ahead of us in the Chi. 85 degrees. That's what I'm talking about. It's not too hot, definitely not too cold. Beautiful, beautiful day. I need someone with a pool, though. That's what I go hop in the pool, lay out a little bit. It's still sunny. I can still get a little darker. You know, I look like, because the light's coming right on me, so I look like I'm pale, but I'm
no.
Yeah, I get much darker, and I can't wait. But you know what? Speaking of, I just found out a good friend. So my cousin's best friend. They've been friends since they were 4th grade.
Sounds like literally best friend.
And I've known him since I was in high school. And he lives literally a 3-minute drive from me. Literally. I was walking with Moms the other day, and real quick story before we bring on our next guest. So we're walking, and we're at the corner where she always takes her break, and I see this cop car, an unmarked cop car, just turn the corner, and then it slowed down. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude, don't give me any problems. Like, I'm out in Orland. Like, I don't, I just didn't know if there's going to be an issue. And he backs up. I'm like, oh, damn, here it goes. And he's like, well, look who's in the neighborhood. And it turned out to be my buddy Dominic. I was like, get the hell out of here. So he's like, dude, you got to come over. Crazy, small world. So he said this weekend he might invite me over to the pool if it's nice. So I got this for this weekend. So good stuff. But anyway, we digress. Man, our White Sox are in first place. They're in a share of first place right now. And we're happy to have this person on. She is a new first-time guest here. She works for Sports Illustrated site dedicated solely to the good guys on the South Side and 35th and Shields, called the South Side Hit Pen. You can find her on Twitter at Scurioso. That's SCURIIOSA. You can find her. That's where you can find her on Twitter. Guys, welcome for the first time to Shawn and Maya, Janice Scurio. Janice, thank you for your time this morning.
Hey, how's it going? Hi, Shawn. Hi, Maya.
Hello. I was I can see you like in the green room, so to speak, before we go live. I was like, oh, she's got a puppy. He's gonna video bomb the show. But I see you scared him away. So
yeah, she took off. I think she's searching for snacks, but I'm pretty sure that once she sees me talking or hears me talking, she will come back. So yeah, she may make a special guest appearance in a little bit.
Yes.
That's all right. Maya usually has her cats who make a special appearance
all the time. They just walk right in. Especially they do the show them the paw, like when someone's saying something not right. Yeah. All right. So you cover.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The good guys. I was hoping we had Dan Hayes on, who covers the Twins for the Athletic, and I was hoping to have him on and say, haha, we won the first two games of this, and we won the series, haha, but it didn't kind of work out that way. Give me your thoughts yesterday. Dallas Keuchel didn't have his best game, but he powered through it like a veteran does. Are you concerned with the bullpen and their ability to give up what they did yesterday?
I was a little concerned with the usage of Jimmy Cordero in particular. I believe he's pitched in the past 5 games, if I remember correctly. So along with a bunch of other White Sox fans, I was a little perplexed as to why we saw him today. So I believe in a post-game, Rick Renteria said that upon analyzing some data that Lucas Giolito's really good performance against Nelson Cruz the other day resulted in him swinging at the slider and getting some outs that way. So they figured that they would kind of replicate that in Jimmy Cordero. That did not happen.
No. No.
Yeah. Other than that, I feel as if there could definitely perhaps be some better decision making in the future. But I mean, I get it though. I absolutely get why he was used once again. I feel as if maybe Evan Marshall could have been shown up a little bit earlier.
Yes.
I was really pleased to see Steve Cishek actually doing quite well. Maybe this is a shade of things to come. This is definitely, we're seeing a little bit of that effectiveness that he showed with the Cubs a few years ago. So maybe he continues that trend upwards. But yeah, it's definitely apparent that we're missing we're missing Aaron Bummer for sure, though.
Yes, it's a bummer. No, but literally. But I'm with you about the Cordero thing because I feel like the Sox bullpen, up until late, has pitched really well. So I'm wondering if there's like a little fatigue, just especially when you get those challenging hitters. And I was kind of surprised to see Cordero as well. I was hoping maybe we'd see Marshall earlier. So I have an expectation that we should not see him today. But we'll see how it goes. I thought that was a weird correlation to make about Giolito and Nelson. I was like, no, I don't get where that came from, so to speak. It didn't make sense. But I kind of feel like at this point, the bullpen seems a little taxed, just a tad. So if they can find a way to mix it up, obviously, I do believe that's partially why we saw Keuchel probably go a little longer in the game and he's a veteran, so you can expect that of him, than probably with most pitchers, because I think they realize that the bullpen is a little taxed at this point, so get as much out the starters as you can.
Absolutely. And I think Keuchel did well For the most part, his location has been pretty fantastic. He's definitely known for his pinpoint control. He was definitely painting early on. The changeup location was mostly good. There were a couple of times where he might have missed his spots. But for the most part, I definitely saw Grandal stealing strikes for him, which was really nice to see. And then I believe I heard something else, I think via James Fegan, that he was pulled early because he was having some stomach issues. So as someone who also suffers from stomach issues quite often, I can definitely relate. I feel as given the circumstances, he did okay. He definitely did well. And if only he can get some more run support, though.
Yes.
You know, the Yoel Moncada missed his third game. Any word on his return? He's got a sore left hamstring. We definitely need to have him in the lineup. Not that he's the end all be all, but he's just another stud in that lineup who's hitting very well. But actually not recent last few games he hadn't been. Part of that was the injury. But any update on Yoel Moncada? Because I really would love to see him back in the lineup, just to have all of our horses in the stable.
Oh, goodness. Same. I would love to see him back in the lineup. I have not heard anything regarding Moncada. It would be nice to have him back just so, we don't have to see Yolmer again, as much as I love Yolmer. I think definitely we need that spot in the lineup. I definitely can understand giving Danny Mendick some rest, though. He has not been hitting as of lately, but as of right now, I haven't heard anything about Moncada's injury.
What's your thoughts? Like last night, to me, I kind of felt like the Sox were playing flat. I didn't see that like intensity we saw from the first game, on Monday, which I think they realized this is a series that you need to kind of show where you're at in regards to the division. You're leading it, but this is a team to beat. So that first game, I thought they looked great. The second game last night, they looked flat to me. So in this loss, if they played their A game and lost, I'd be like, oh, wow, okay, so the Twins are going to be an issue. I mean, we know they're an issue. But I don't feel, there were errors. Mental focus wasn't there. You could tell Abreu just seemed a little off his square. He missed, what was a lightning rod from Yolmer, just stretching out, dropped the ball, just simple little mistakes like that. So to me, I don't think they played their best baseball. So I'll take that loss knowing they didn't play well. And Keuchel didn't necessarily pitch his best game, but he was still good. When you talk about the Twins being the team to beat in the division, this matchup was important to look at. I don't think you write off Cleveland either. But How did you feel watching where the Sox are now, playing well, and the team they have to beat? Do you feel this is a team that could win the division over the Twins based on how we've seen the matchup now that everyone got games under their belt?
Oh my goodness, yes. I feel as if the White Sox are a better team than the Twins. And I tweeted a few nights ago, back maybe in the early innings from 2 nights ago, where things weren't looking so great. I said something like, the Twins aren't beating the White Sox are beating the White Sox. When you make those like small errors, they definitely accumulate. 3 errors in 1 inning, that's definitely not great defense. It's very on White Sox to do, just mainly because according to defensive runs saved, they are currently the best defensive team in all of baseball right now. Yep. I feel as if this team could definitely win the division. At this point, we're just seeing lots of very peculiar on White Sox things right now. So it's all about, I guess, discarding all of that mental stuff and moving forward and hoping for better ball games.
Guys, we're joined by Dan Escurio from Sports Illustrated site, Southside Hit Pen, talking a little White Sox baseball right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning.
Were you disappointed that at the trade deadline there were no major moves made? Obviously bring back Yolmer Sanchez, which I don't have a problem with. He's a good utility player. Sure. And being that there's some injuries here and there, he's a good fit because he understands the system. He's good for the clubhouse. His energy works. But we had a lot of banter earlier in the show with some Cub fans, FYI, that come on the show about not making what they felt was a Clevenger move, which Dan Hayes cleared up and kind of said what Shawn was saying about what they were asking for. It might have been too much. But do you feel that not making a bigger move, especially for pitching, could be a detriment for them moving forward?
Yeah, I do have to admit I'm somewhat disappointed that a move wasn't made, just mainly because there are some holes in the rotation for sure. I don't think our bullpen depth is as great as I thought it was. And I've gone on record before saying that we've got some pretty strong relievers, which is the case, but especially when certain situations where if you're going to overuse certain relievers or like crunch the data a little too hard, like in that Nelson Cruz situation, I definitely think too much depth is a good problem to have. And the reason why I'm mostly disappointed that we didn't acquire a starting pitcher is just mainly because I am still very iffy about Reynaldo Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
He's pitching tonight against Jose Barrios. Barrios has been fairly mediocre, so I don't know if I'm too worried about him, but I'm definitely worried about Reynaldo Lopez mostly.
Fair, because I don't think he's in the lineup come next year. And one of the things I would have liked, I'm a huge Dane Dunning fan.
Yeah,
from the minute they picked him up, I said, this kid is excellent. Seriously. Now that I'm looking at how things are shaping up, if there's a need to use Ray because they feel like they need to, I almost kind of feel now, because Dane's his starts have been phenomenal. But at the same time, they probably should have considered what they did with Chris Sale and maybe putting him in middle relief in the bullpen. Because for the fact that they don't want to overuse his arm, that's a conversation about only giving him 4 or 5 innings. But imagine what he could do for you, seriously, in some of these tight games, coming in at middle relief or as the closer, especially during these times when people are struggling. You got a starter kind of shoring up the game. And now I'm thinking maybe they should rethink. They don't want to overuse him, and I get it. But Chris Sale came out the bullpen, and they realized very quickly that he had stuff. Well, Dane Dunning has stuff, but I think because there's so many arms available to be starting pitchers, there's a reluctancy for whatever reason to give that kind of full position to Dane. So use him in middle relief or the bullpen because right now they're struggling.
For sure. And I think, I kind of knew that he was going to be on a limited pitch count his last outing. I saw a couple of meatball takes, just upset that they pulled him. I think he was already, at like 80, 85 pitches. Yeah, he was throwing no-hit ball, but you definitely do not want to overwork an arm, especially one that's recovering from Tommy John. So yeah, perhaps that's a good short-term solution. I'd like to see it.
You know, one of the things that's really on the minds of Sox fans is Eloy Jimenez and his defensive play. How do you feel about him in left field? You know, I affectionately gave him the nickname El Pescado. In Spanish, that means the fish.
Yeah.
Because he likes to get caught up in there. Is that going to be a problem? Do you think that can be a problem later in the season? Or are we just going to have Luis Robert catch everything from left center field to the right center field and kind of move Eloy closer to the line so he doesn't have to run as far and not get caught in the net?
I joke about this all the time. I was talking to a Cubs fan friend of mine where we're sort of discussing how much range each outfielder has. And we also brought the infield in too. So I was saying, this represents Eloy right here. Here is Luis Robert. And we're also going to we'll give like Tim Anderson this amount of range too. So Eloy is still here. Like he can only cover this much ground. And I definitely got on the White Sox earlier this year because, there were some games where the defense was not that great, kind of shades of the game from 2 days ago for sure. And of course, the other joke that a lot of people were making at the time was that the White Sox just have a roster full of future DHs or even like current DHs too. But of course, I mean, that's not sustainable. We definitely need some guys that can play defense. So, I mean, if anything, like everyone else in the world, I would like to see Eloy just improve on his defense most of all. So yeah. Until I guess another acquisition can be made, we just kind of have to leave him there for the time being, I suppose.
We got a texter call chime any word on when Carlos Rodon and Aaron Bummer would return, and any Sox feel about Nomar's performance defensively over in right field.
I haven't heard much about Rodon. I have heard that Bummer has been playing catch in Schaumburg, but as for a timetable of return, I know earlier they said vaguely September would be when he would return. Well, it's September right now, so I really miss him. I feel as if at the time I don't think I really knew the magnitude of how much that we would miss his presence in the bullpen. But yeah, of course, time has passed, and with this weird shortened season, time just passes by really quickly, which is the other thing that's also kind of new and uncharted. But yeah, as of right now, that's as far as we know. As for Mazara's defense, I feel as if he's been okay. Definitely, I think the lack of a bat certainly kind of mars that. And the fact that he was also marketed to us as being this power hitting guy who would perhaps provide some extra oomph in a lineup. I think that's kind of where a lot of the disappointment in him has kind of stemmed from. But other than that, I would like to see more out of Mazara, and I think I have said that many, many times, perhaps too many times. I know a lot of White Sox fans have seen enough of him. Am I part of that contingent? Maybe.
You know, with Mazara, you know, you talked about what he was marketed as coming. Because remember, last year he hit that like 500-foot shot against us.
Yeah,
we were like, holy cow! That's what they were getting. He was a 5-tool player. They talked about. They said he was of the ilk of obviously El Garcia when he got from the Tigers some years ago, and Ivy never really lived up to his 5-tool potential. Right. And at this point, neither has Nomar. And they're saying they're hoping that we can get it out of him. Maybe on a team as talented as this White Sox team, he would raise his level of play. At this point, he hasn't.
You know, and remember when they picked him up, nobody was actually like in love with the idea. But then you saw other pickups like Encarnacion. So you're like, okay, you felt like this was putting that veteran piece in there you wanted to see in the lineup along with Abreu. So I don't look at him and say, even though he's had some timely hitting here and there, it's the consistency that's been missing.
Exactly.
That we want to see more than anything else. So I'll say that he hasn't fully lived up to potential, but he has had some moments that have been timely overall. So, but back to Jason's initial question about, one of the things I think that we should be thinking about in terms of down the road, because we talk about, Dan Hayes mentioned that if the White Sox win 5 more games, and pretty much they punch their tickets to the postseason based on this 60-game season. So then when you start thinking about if you've made no acquisitions by the trade deadline, then you must look at what you have when you stayed pat. Well, what's interesting is if you get Rodon back and you get Bummer back by the time you hit playoffs, they're not going to be starters, but boy, do they become part of your bullpen. And I don't think and Rodon is not going to argue with you about being in your bullpen, especially he's like, I can give you a solid 2 innings and probably, it's not wear and tear. And you talk about, or it's interesting, or do you see a combination of Rodon and Dunning together, like you saw Gonzalez along with Lopez? Do you see that type of put together, what I'm saying, during some games? So I don't think people look at the Sox have a couple pieces that are kind of floating because of injury that if they come back by playoffs, guess what? You're still looking at actually a solid pitching staff, not that's all from the starting side, from starting through middle relief could be the difference.
Yeah, and that's an idea that we were toying around with at the Hit Pen earlier this season. Is we've got a lot of pitchers who have to be on limited pitch counts, either because of injury or just mainly because, the White Sox would just need a good 2 solid outings. And I believe one of the tandems that we were thinking of is, have Lopez be the opener and then have someone like Gio Gonzalez, follow afterwards. So the use of an opener, I think, is something that I think would be viable as well, especially because we want to keep arms fresh. Especially when we have guys like Dunning, where, we definitely do not want to overexert them. I feel as if it's an idea that should be explored.
Guys, we're joined by Janice Scurio from Sports Illustrated's site dedicated solely to the good guys on the South Side. The Chicago White Sox is called Southside Hit Pen. Talking a little White Sox baseball right here on Shawn and Maya in the morning. Do me a favor, give me your take. Give me your take on Rick Renteria, because we're still warm on him. You know, I still got crazy Ozzy love. All right, and and we've been very critical. Maya and myself especially have been critical of Renteria, but they're in first place. All right, they're ahead of schedule from where we thought. Because I said and repeatedly, I think they'd fight for a division, for a wild card spot and maybe miss. But then when they expanded the playoff, like, okay, they'll get in one of the wild card. You know, one of the top two teams from each division, and then the next two best records. I'm like, yeah, they'll get in one of those next two best records. 7 or 8. The White Sox said, hold my beer. No, we're not getting a 7 or 8. We're fighting for the division. And when that happens, if I'm quick to give David Ross praise for what he's doing on the north side, because there's really nobody hitting on the north side and they're still in first place, I have to give Rick Renteria his props and mad respect for getting these guys playing as well as they are ahead of schedule. But I want your take on Renteria. Is he doing it for you? Do you think he's the guy, or is he just doing it this year? Or do you think is he the guy to take them to that championship level?
I go back and forth on Renteria, honestly.
Like most of us.
So I get he's very admired. He's a well-respected guy in the clubhouse, which I think is very important. His players love him. His players respect him, which is, absolutely kind of the thing you don't see in the background a lot of the times. On the other hand, I think my biggest qualm with Ricky is definitely bullpen management. Like there are some decisions that definitely kind of leave me a little mystified. Kind of like from yesterday, the usage of Jimmy Cordero has been kind of mind-boggling to me. Other than that, again, like the whole leadership thing is definitely a key piece of the puzzle. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, on White Sox Twitter, saying things like the White Sox are in first place despite their manager. So, I mean, like, I think that's absolutely true. I think perhaps maybe this is such a strong team that, like, perhaps even at the behest of these decisions that Renteria is making, it's still the pitching staff is not giving up any runs. We're scoring 6+ runs a game. That's absolutely ridiculous. I haven't even looked at the run differential this morning, because I know that that's very mercurial. It changes all the time, but I believe as of right now, it's maybe a first or second in the American League, which I think is also absolutely ridiculous, given the American League can be an offensive powerhouse at times. So in that case, I don't know. I feel as if I am a little reluctant to give him credit this early. And I know this sounds strange given the season is halfway over with. But we're dealing with a whole lot of things that are unprecedented. And I think this is absolutely one of them. Seeing a winning White Sox team that's like well over 500 is one of the unprecedented things for sure.
And you know what's interesting about it, Janice, is because I'm not a Renteria person. And I try to tell myself to be objective in the assessment of him, because you know how quickly and how easy it would be to be negative if this season, like if they weren't better than a 500 team, if they all of a sudden could make the playoffs, considering that this season was so advantageous, he would get the negativity that would come with that. And so I'm trying to tell myself, okay, if I would give him the negativity for not achieving certain things with expectations, then I'll at least have to say, I got to give you another full season with all the pieces in play to say yay or nay that I think you're the right fit. But at the core of it, I still don't feel like in my gut that he's the right manager. And that's insane, because I'm still trying to, it's some of his choices, some of the things that have unfolded in the clubhouse, like player behavior here and there, are things I'm like, a certain manager would never tolerate that. Like, Luis's behavior sometimes. I'm like Shawn. I'm very Ozzy centric. Ozzy would have got him right together when he came running back to the dugout. So there's this whole small like player management things, and I do believe. But players have said they like him and they respect him. So I'm not questioning that they don't. But there's something to be said when you put a proven and winner person in that position, how it changes the complexion of winning altogether. And I think that piece, that energy piece is missing of having someone like a Terry Francona or having the likes of a Ozzie Guillen. Having those winning coaches, to me, changes a lot. So I'm kind of like on the fence still, even though they're winning. Why do I feel like it's not because of Renteria? That's awful. I still won't give him credit, but I'm trying to be objective.
Right. I see where you're coming from, Maya, and I agree with you, actually. I definitely feel as if, perhaps maybe that winning piece isn't necessarily there quite yet. Who knows if it will arrive. But like you, I try to be objective. I try to also kind of recognize that, he was the same guy that let Yonder Alonso bat cleanup last year. But at the same time, he didn't really have too much to work with in terms of putting lineups together. So I try to weigh things out. But yeah, Maya, I'm kind of right along with you there.
Guys, she's Janice Scurio. Great stuff today. Do me a favor, though. Let everyone know where they can find you and your work online.
Absolutely. So you can read me at Southside Hit Pen. Basically, we are Sports Illustrated's White Sox site, SI now /MLB/White Sox. We've got a great, talented group of people working over there. I am just starting to contribute to the website Pitcher List too. Really great guys over there, guys and gals. So really excited to contribute to that team in the future. You can follow me on Instagram. It's Scurriosa. So it's basically my last name spelled with 2 I's with an OSA at the end. I tried to make it the same as my Instagram handle, but someone on Twitter already had that taken, so I had to improvise. Yeah, I know. Don't you hate that? Give me a follow. I'd love to hear from you. I love interacting with people to an extent. But yeah.
Janice, great stuff. We will definitely be in touch soon, especially with you. We had Sam on the other day, and so that's why we wanted to reach out to you. And you guys are awesome. So we're definitely going to be. And anytime we get to talk White Sox, we love it. We love it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, same here. Hopefully, despite the pitching matchup tonight, we'll have something good to talk about soon.
Yeah, I'm really leery. I'm really leery with Ray Lopez and going tonight. And I know the Twins, they got a chump too who's going. So it's chump versus chump, and just whose offense goes up. And if that's the case, I'll take my White Sox. Although Byron Buxton did just come back, and Dan Hayes was telling us he is their fire. He is the igniter on that team, and he's their energy, their heart and soul. So, but I still take my offense this year over the Twins' offense this year. So hopefully we get this one, get a series victory, and move on. So go Sox, baby. We'll talk soon.
Go Sox.
There he is, Maya. Look at this.
Oh, there. Took a while, but oh wow, what kind of dog is that?
She is a chocolate lab Weimaraner mix.
I thought I saw her. She kind of has that shininess that a Weimaraner has. Yes. Okay. Pretty girl. Okay.
Yeah, she wanted to say hello before
you head out. Okay.
So.
All right. Bye-bye.
Great stuff, Janet. We'll talk soon.
Right.
Guys, that was Janice Scurio from SI site, Southside Hit Pen, talking a little White Sox baseball with us. I'm nervous, Maya. I'm nervous about Ray Lopez tonight.
Don't be nervous.
I just don't want him to.
I told you last year that I felt like Ray wasn't the right fit, and I felt like this would be the last year we'd see him. I'm like, if he doesn't come out lights out and show us why he should still be here, he has a replacement. Now, mind you, Gian Gonzalez was supposed to be his tandem, so to speak, just in case he imploded. Well, now he's not available. So I don't know who's going to step in if he implodes, because the bullpen is being stretched a little thin already. You know what I mean? So he needs to go out and pitch. Like, I'm not saying he's got to be lights out, but he better be serviceable at best.
And the funny part is that people in the organization and people who cover the team, and even some of his teammates, said he's got the best stuff of anybody. It's all between his ears, and that's it.
Well,
and I mean, it's this is what, again, this is not what I'm saying. This is what guys in the organization are saying. This is what scouts are saying. But for him, as you all know, pitchers are like kickers. Okay, they're very temperamental, and if they're not on, if they're I mean, look at Giolito. He went from the worst pitcher in Major League Baseball in 1 year, and to Cy Young Award candidate in the first half of 2019. And like, dude, he was. Is this the same guy? So it's all up here for pitchers, and Ray Lopez needs to battle with himself, get a hold of it, because if he can be good. But to this point, he's been extremely inconsistent, and that's where we have. That's why everyone has these issues and this certain feeling toward Ray. Like we give him the side eye, like I need to see you do a little more.
Well, I've been saying it for more than a season now. So I was like, here's the thing. There's a next man up. And if that doesn't make you get your game together, and here's the thing. Some people don't have a strong mental resolve. And that's unfortunate if you're a pitcher because you can't afford to be that guy. So if he's going to struggle, here's the thing. Maybe he's not meant to be a starter. Maybe he needs to be in middle relief. Maybe he needs to be in the bullpen. That's just it. Because you can get a couple good innings out of him, but he just is inconsistent. So maybe you just don't have that stuff to be a starter. Find him another role.
I'll tell you what, Maya, and this is what I'm really excited about, getting to the playoffs, because you're only going to need 3. And in that third rotation, the third slot, you can tag team it. You can have a Dylan Cease and a Dane Dunning, okay, as your number 3, okay? You got a beginner, and then you got the first 3, he got the next 3, and then it kind of saves the bullpen a little bit as well. So you have starting pitchers that you can roll over into relievers once you get into the playoffs, because you're not going to use a 5-man rotation in the playoffs.
No, you're not.
So I'm good with Giolito. I'm good with Keiko, and I'm good with the tag team as that number 3 starter, number 3 duo, so to speak. Because I'm comfortable with what they can do in short spurts.
Here's the thing. It's unconventional, which a lot of people have a problem with, but look at it this way. So was how the Brewers did things. It was unconventional and having a stronger bullpen than a starting rotation. And it didn't matter how unconventional it was, it worked. So my thing is, we talked about eventually having too many pitchers was going to be a good problem to have. And because of injury, you now have a place where you can stock people in middle relief and closing so that your bullpen doesn't get stretched too thin. It's a good problem to have, especially since you are 5 wins away from making the playoffs. Now you're rethinking, we shouldn't do this conventionally because this has been 2020. Nothing has been conventional. So you do what you need to do to win, and that's that.
So you're good with Giolito. Like the Giolito, Lucas Giolito.
No,
the one that you're good with him. I'm Tamaya. You're not good with him. So you're good with the platoon going into the playoffs, number 3.
No, I'm saying the method. These are apples and oranges. I'm saying Giolito's supposed to be the ace, so he's going to have to pitch like an ace. I'm good with Keiko. I'm not really okay with Ray Lopez, but I've said that. I'm good with Keiko. Here's the thing: Giolito and Lopez have the same problem. They're inconsistent. We've seen them pitch lights out and be amazing. So I don't know what fire you put under Giolito's ass to get him to be consistent. I don't know, but he's never been. He's never right. Well, yeah, he's never been to the play. So this might be the thing that could totally change his mindset. But I'm saying it's a good problem to have, to know that now you have all these extra arms that can be in middle relief in the bullpen that are starters. And we see this happen in the playoffs all the time, where remember the Nationals, like Max Scherzer had pitched like the day before, but they needed him to come in and to close it, and he did it. You saw it with Chris. You see it happen all the time. So the thing is, it's good to know that if somebody falls off or has an issue, you have middle relief arms that are starters, and it's not the way things it should be. But if it wins, it works. That's it, and that's what I'm saying. And we talked about this at the beginning of the season, that this was going to be a good problem to have. And I'm gonna tell you something. If Rodon is told he has to come back in middle relief, considering they're in the playoffs, he ain't gonna tell you no. He's gonna be like, yes, and everyone's gonna do what they're asked to do because of the fact it's pushing you towards the playoffs. And I won't say a World Series, but that's what the goal is. So no one's gonna say no. They're gonna step into the roles as needed. That's it. And maybe Rodon will be like, I'm good with it.
For me, it goes back to that number 3 spot and consistency. Like we said, it goes back to Kopech. It goes back to, and not to the Indian. I'm not talking about the Indian. If you were able to trade a prospect, not even Michael Kopech, for a guy, for a for sure number 3, then you could go ahead and do all those things that you're talking about with that platoon as the middle relief with the Dylan Cease, with the Dane Dunning. That's even more lethal. And then you don't have to worry so much about a Giolito having a rough game. You know what you got with Dallas Keuchel. So, like, for me to have a consistent, for sure, and nothing's for sure, but to have somebody at that number 3 spot who's consistent and who's been to the playoffs and who's been, has a little more experience, if you were able to control him afterwards, after this year, I think I'd take that.
Here's the thing. But Dan Hayes said it. He's like, to be honest, the Indians weren't giving the Twins or the White Sox Clevenger because what they were going to have.
Their asking price was much higher.
He's like, what they were going to ask him for, it would have been
else. I'm talking about.
I'll be honest, but honestly, there was nobody else. Let's real talk. There wasn't. I'll be honest, because Dallas Keuchel was probably the best you got at one point. Look at the disappointment that Kimbrel has been. So it's, to me, Clevenger was the best thing out there. If you were talking about an instant upgrade, everybody else was going to be kind of like riding the storm. Is it going to fit? Is it going to work? And then you talk about coming over maybe from an AL to, it's a whole bunch of things that go into it. So my thing is, I'm okay with being unconventional. This is why I can't wait for this to unfold, because I have no problem from breaking away from tradition, because you saw how well it worked for Milwaukee. So the unfortunate part is that not even so much about Kopech. Here's the thing, because Kopech wouldn't have been a starter this year. He would have been probably pitching like Dane Dunning a couple games here out the bull. He probably would have been a starter. Ray Lopez was the expectation who was supposed to be in the rotation. And then he got hurt. And now we back to Ray. And this was a question mark. So I'll be honest, I want people to stop talking about Mike, okay? Because Mike was not supposed to be necessarily in the starting rotation.
How about this? How about we tag team him? But
yes, let's do that.
How about we tag team? You can do, because we got Carlos Rodon and Dylan Cease. What about tag teaming those two? Have Rodon, who's a little more of a vet, a little more seasoned, have him start. Like, you got the first 3, and you got the first 3 only. I don't care if it's a perfect game, no hitter, whatever. You got the first 3, okay? And then Dylan Cease, you come in after him because now you got lefty righty. I don't mind that particular platoon, because now at least I know I got a guy in Carlos Rodon who's got starter stuff, to start off the game that this moment won't be too big for him because he's been in the league before, and then bring a younger cat in to relieve him in the 4th inning. I'm a big fan of this tag team in the number 3 slot. But, I mean, you think about it, like we have, look at the rotation. I mean, just look at the pitching staff. Okay, we're talking about Colomé, that's your closer. Okay, just that's a given. Colomé's your closer. But then you got Foster, you got Aaron Bummer, you got Detweiler, you have Marshall. Then you can put Dane Dunning in there, Dylan Cease is in there, Hoyer in there, Chase Fry in there, Steve Cishek in there. That's a nice piece. So now you can go from different guys, and you're not stressing that bullpen, because 2 guys can go today, 2 guys can go to the next game, 2 guys, or maybe when out the first guy can go back again. So the White Sox are in a good position. And so if they didn't have this type of depth in the relief, in the relief pitchers, I'd be a little leery about platooning a number 3, the number 3 game. But since they have that depth, I'm okay with Rodon and Cease, or Dunning and Cease. If you want to get these guys some, cutting their teeth, getting some playoff action, either way, I'm definitely okay with that number 3, because I am more than comfortable with Giolito and Dallas Keuchel 1 and 2.
Real talk, you might have to, if Ray's going to be that 3rd, whatever they're going to do with him, we might have to platoon him, because 1, he hasn't had the starts. He's coming back. So remember, for him, he's really behind the 8 ball, because his first game, he was out within 2 innings, and then there's no spring training. So everything about Ray Lopez is already behind the curve. So you may have to platoon him, and we know he can pitch when is mentally right, but you may have to platoon him just because he's behind the curve. And this is why I'm like, you got to be flexible with this, because this isn't our regular season. This is why I'm like, throw whatever you think is right out the window. If it's working and it's winning, you do it. And that's why I'm not going to argue about anything. I'm like, let's just try and see what happens. Because every time here's the thing, when you win, then people will be like, well, that was different. So,
you're genius.
You're right. People question Milwaukee, but it worked. I was like,
did it work? Did Milwaukee did not get to a World Series? Did it work? Did it really work? Did Milwaukee get to the promised land? It did. It works in a bubble. That's what I'm getting at. It works in a bubble. This could be a 60-game bubble, though. Right. That's what I'm getting. It could work in a bubble, but when you go and like compare with what, you have to win it. You have to win it.
I don't disagree, but here's Ivan, what you have to embrace on this. you don't have to do anything as it's scripted. That's where people often go wrong with things. And because this is like a different season, and because
why not?
It's why not? Because you also have a lot of young pieces. I mean, I'm gonna be all over Dane Dunning because Dane Dunning can be a starter. I'm serious. But my thing is, you got to be patient because you don't want to overtax the arm. But in the playoffs, get real conservative about innings, especially with young arms and people coming back from injury. But I've been talking about putting Rodon in the bullpen from day one. I was like, because he's got bad bones. I said, but the guy could be lights out and win you games. I said, I always feel like that's where he's going to belong because he can't not be a starter because of stuff, but because of his body. So that was one thing I already wanted to see happen. So Gonzalez is out. He might be back by the time they get to playoffs. We can say it. There's no way they're not going to win 5 games. So he can be back by playoffs. So now the thing is, Renteria needs to start thinking about how are we going to orchestrate this pitching staff? Ray is back. So Ray's going to have a couple starts again. That's a piece we have to fill out. Can he pitch at that level that we know he can, but can he do it consistently?
So, but what are you going to want to do with these starters, though? So you're going to want to. I mean, are you going to want to take out Lucas Giolito if he's dealing? You're going to want to take out Dallas Keuchel if he's dealing. You know what I mean? So these guys. So Rick has got to start managing them. Like, okay, listen, if you're hot, you're staying. I'm riding you. Okay, I'm riding you. And so some of these guys, they need to get more time now because they might not get a lot of time in the playoffs. They need to be ready when they're called, but they might, because right now is when starting pitching is it, because once a guy's dealing, you don't want to take him out. You don't want to take him out. And if you I would personally love to see starters go if they're dealing or doing well, 7 minimum, 7+. Okay, then you get a setup guy, then you get your closer, and then good. Okay, Rick Renteria's got to make sure that he does a good job of getting all these guys in now. Okay, because he can't just start taking Giolito and Keuchel out in 5 innings.
Right.
Okay, to pick other people because you're going to expect them to go deeper in games.
Yes.
As the playoffs come, but then you still got to get everyone else. So this is going to be a nice balancing act for Rick Renteria to get all these guys.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing lies, and it's your boy Maya. The biggest thing that'll if Giolito makes this jump that we think that we're seeing. If he is the ace in the postseason that you need to shut it down, then this picture that you guys
here's the thing.
I don't know if I trust that if that consistency.
He could be like Clayton Kershaw, and
exactly.
Yeah, but Clayton Kershaw was getting garbage canned. We can't. So we don't really know about Clayton. Clayton Kershaw was getting garbage canned. Okay, so he was.
That's my guy, though. That's my guy. But here's the thing too. And again, I'm willing to step back and just go with this because this will be the first time that Giolito has ever been in this position. Matter of fact, for almost all of these young players, it's going to be the first time they've seen this side of a season. So I have expectations, but I don't want to embellish it. I just need Renteria to think outside the box. Here's the thing. I don't want you to pull Giolito or Keuchel at 5. They should be able to pitch you 7, and then you come in and get middle relief, a closer that can finish it up and win the game. Because my thing is, if people aren't hitting them, don't pull them, because that's when usually the wheels come off the bus. So those two. The question is, what do we do with Ray? Ray may only be good for 3, and then you may have to put somebody behind him. Same thing with Dylan Cease. If he decides to go 4 pitchers, if that's what he decides to do, we don't know. Right. Then Cease might need a little extra support, not because he's not good enough, but he's young. This would be his first, not even full season, but you know what I'm saying?
We're talking about Ray, though. Like, I don't know if I trust to even keep Ray on the roster for the playoffs.
Here's
Ray's on.
Okay, Ray's on.
Right.
But here's what will happen. Remember this. I'm lukewarm on Ray. I am. But because he's really behind the 8 ball with no spring training, then getting hurt and being on injury, we got to let him do his starts so we can evaluate what we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? We can't judge it right now because we've only seen a couple starts. So he's getting caught up. But they're going to win 5 games, but they also have a time to assess if they feel like he's truly reliable to be in that role. Then you make the adjustments. So before I cut him off at the knees, and I'll cut him off at the knees. I ain't got no problem with it. I'm going to let him finish out the regular season and see what he looks like. He might hit a stride in a rhythm, but if he doesn't, guess what? He doesn't have to be a detriment to you. That's the thing.
Yeah, you could throw him out there to start. Give me 2 innings, 3 innings, and hopefully, you can do that because you have the offense. You can do that because you have the offense. You'd be 4 runs down, 5 runs down, and you still realize, okay, we have the offense to get us back in it and over the hump. So I think it is important to get him to starts. See if you can gain some get him to gain some confidence. Get him. Maybe it clicks for him in the playoffs. Maybe because there are guys who play well in the playoffs. They're not regular season guys. We don't know. We've never been to the playoffs.
We don't know. We don't know. So
4 guys have been to the playoffs. So
we kick the tires on everybody. So we don't know. And who? We don't know anybody.
Yeah, right.
That's all I'm saying.
We know it's Keuchel. That's it.
And I'm gonna tell you something. Even if they don't go super deep into the playoffs, what's crazy about this will be experience that will be so invaluable come next year. So the absence of Kopech will be a big deal because he could have used this. But remember when the Cubs had Montgomery, and I look at the fact is I always felt like he was one of the most valuable pieces they had because he was a middle reliever forever. But when they needed him to be a starter, he had starter stuff. You know what I mean? And that's the thing is you can never go wrong when you got somebody in middle relief who's quietly could be a starter. And I'm like, we got a lot of that. And I'm like, and I'm not going to frown upon it right now because here's the other thing. No matter what happens in this season, let's say they do really well. You may find somebody's value skyrockets because of the postseason, and you have to give up less because their value has increased, let's say with whoever, and you can deal them to go get that other arm. So this is like, there's so many scenarios playing out for the White Sox right now. I'm like, we don't have to rush. You know what? Be like Embiid.
That's a great point.
It's a process because right now, a lot of players, a lot of our prospects, we know we're not going to keep all of them. They're going to gain value in the postseason, and that's when we can deal and maybe go get that other arm that we need. It's all about the process.
Don't forget, you got Grandal too, and Grandal helps a significant amount because of his experience in the postseason with the Brewers, Dodgers, and so on. He could with the young guys, and I didn't think of this prior, but with the young guys, he could really settle them down and kind of help take control. Like he's smart enough to be able to do that with guys like that, with your youth guys like that. So I wouldn't. Now that I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't be like too skeptical, but I still want a for sure thing. And with all the talent that you got, but with all the talent that you got, if I go ahead and I tax on of the farm a bit, and I go ahead and I trade a piece, and I get a guy, and we're not talking Coventry, I'm just saying, and this is hypothetical. If I go ahead and for me, if I get a guy that's a for sure thing. 100, for sure thing. He's consistent. He's been in this position before. He's been to the playoffs. I feel safer letting the guys that aren't experienced come in relief than I do starting the game because the magnitude of each game. Each game is this is it. Like this is it. Like these are must win.
I'm gonna tell you. But here's the other thing I think is going to legitimately happen because you have a lot of character on this team. Tim is going to step it up. I don't think a lot of people are ready for the call. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people ready for the call. Abreu's going to be on this. If you don't think Abreu's like, this could be a World Series, he's thinking it. Like, we could maybe pull. He's thinking it. Abreu's going to be on it. Anderson is going to amp his game up. I'm telling you, Luis Roberts, who's already cocky, is going to be like, wait a minute. I'm already here, and we could be knocking. A lot of them, even though they have no experience, because the opportunity is so ripe for the picking, they're going to play at a higher level. It's just mentally.
They're dumb enough to know any better.
And that's
dumb enough to know any better.
It's that mental focus piece, though.
And that's why it's guaranteed. Because I'll say this: like with the Cubs getting there, right? You're not guaranteed to go back. Like still, even right now, they're not guaranteed. You are not guaranteed to go back to the World Series. So if they were to go ahead and have an opportunity to win it now, with like, and it's I'm just saying it because I'm thinking of Lou Bob's cockiness. And I hope he doesn't feel this way because if this is his only opportunity, and let's say that's it to get to a series, that'll be tragic. So, like for me, I want to make no doubt. I want to go after it. If I have an opportunity to win it now, I'm going to try to win it now, and I want to put a stranglehold on it.
Well, I don't disagree with that. Everyone's mentality has to be to win it now. And if they happen to fall short, I'm going to tell you something. As a White Sox fan, I'm not going to be disappointed if they fall short. But I feel like they're going to play pedal to the metal because let's be honest, it's like a shortened season because MLB season's long and to make it to the postseason in a regular season is rigorous. But the fact that they were able to get it together, get the chemistry and play at a high level and manage to be in first in what is not an easy division to be in first in. There's a lot of things that are working to their advantage. And the thing is they know it and Rick Hahn doesn't have to say it. I've seen his vision from day one. The man has made what you're seeing his vision in action right now. Everything you're seeing happen, It's because he put this together this way. That's why I'm like, don't lose faith in the fact that he didn't do a whole bunch of stuff at the trade deadline, because what you're seeing in front of you has been the fruition of all his hard work. And if it turns out, don't get me wrong, if they walk away with the World Series, I'll be so beside myself, I won't know what to do. I'm serious. But then the bar gets set so high come next year, we'll start acting like Cub fans. And then we have to have a reality check. But
how was it in 06 after 05? You know what
here's
I mean?
the thing.
It was a different team. I know because they were not young, but so were the Cubs. The Cubs were a young team. So and I'm not wishing anything. I'm just saying.
It's okay, Ivan. You can wish it.
A trade. Yeah, right. A trade for me for a frontline, a proven commodity. That makes everything else gravy. Everything else that you're talking about.
Not necessarily. You still got to play other teams. Like I said, there's a lot of scenarios here that change the landscape of how the White Sox can approach the playoffs. And that's what most people don't. They're not necessarily as depleted at pitching as you think they are. In fact, they're in a really interesting position. But it's going to probably look so I don't know where Renteria's mind's at, but it may look very unconventional. And that'll be the thing that people will be like, but everything about 2020 has been that way. That's why I was like, let's just see. And this will be the thing we can judge Renteria on, how well he gets his situation and how he responds to it. That's what it comes down to. Because I feel someone like Ozzy, someone like Tito, they're going to understand it. Because some people will make a judgment call and not quite feel how you feel about it as a player. They're not going to care. It's like, it's about winning. It's not about you. It's about winning. Yeah. So if you can't step up and be that dude, I got to go to the next guy who can do it. And that's just the bottom line. But first, we can start to pick this apart after we get a couple more starts out of Ray Lopez. Okay. Let's win those 5 games and punch the ticket so we can really start arguing like fools. About, because the argument's about turning into I'll see you in the World Series.
Right.
If you get there.
Let's be
like, I'll see you in the World Series. How about that you raise me up? That's gonna be an ugly. I don't want to be in Chicago if that happens. That's not gonna be nice.
Here's my last question for you though. If it was 162, if this year was 162, right?
What is spring training?
You're right. What is spring training? Would you and the Sox were in the same position as right now? Would you be thinking differently about trading off pieces? Would you think a little different?
But you have to see.
No.
Here's the thing: you have to be specific because there was a specific piece that was being offered, and that was Michael Kopech being asked for. That was Michael Kopech and Adam Engel were the 2 big names.
Here's the difference. Okay. Right. I wouldn't be thinking different because I realize that plenty of prospects are acquired for the sole purpose that they would be traded. So my thing is this: you get to see some of your prospects in spring training. You'd have some games under your belt in a regular season before the trade deadline. So at that point, and mind you, we're talking about injury and all this other stuff that plays into it. So if they packaged up certain people and sent them away, and here's the thing, Kopech might be playing in a longer season because he would take a little bit of time. He wouldn't take the whole season off. You know what I mean? Right. Actually, he would have been in the season and then had this complication and maybe needed to take some personal time off is probably how that would have played out, so to speak. Yeah. So we probably would have seen some pitching from him, truth be told. So it would have been a different look. And then we could see a building upon where he was. So because he didn't start the season, I'm going to tell you this. I still have faith that he is everything that we think he is, not just from his minor performances, because I paid to watch him in the Cayman Islands. I'm serious. I was on vacation paying extra money to MLB so I could watch Kopech start. And he never disappointed me because of his, it wasn't even about the speed. It's about he's a student of the game. And I'm saying to have a young pitching staff, and this is what Rick Hahn's about. He wants his team young because he's building for the future. He wants to win now. Because remember, he kind of told us it was more like 2021. He wasn't even trying to sell us 2020, truth be told. But all of a sudden, he made a couple moves and picked up some key pieces that make a difference because it was opportune. So I don't think it would be the same because Kopech would have given us some starts and then probably would have disappeared. And then we probably would have had a different feel for what we think about him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of hard to say, but I know prospects are picked up. We know they were front-loading prospects. Who talked about Mitch Berger?
I mentioned him.
We're talking about throwing him out in right field because we think he could possibly do that. I mean, my thing is you want to throw some stuff out there because you want to show their value so that you can send them away because everyone's not going to be on the team. Let's be honest. Chris Sale ain't here, and that was heartbreaking for me. Seriously. But if it has value and it's going to help my team win, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to be happy about it. I'll take it. But what you bring back better be worth it. And so far, that Sale trade, I feel like it's been worth it. I feel like it's been worth it.
Lucas Chilito.
It's legitimately
your Moncada. Yeah,
I'll be honest. So I mean, it's been worth it thus far. So yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Hey guys, 3 hours has come and gone. Unbelievable. I want to thank all. We want to thank all our guests. Joseph Phillips, he sits in on our top of the morning segment. Thank you very much. Dan Hayes, our good old friend. Dan Hayes up in Minnesota. Eric Lambert from Sports Mockery with some Bear Talk. And Janice Scurio from Sports Illustrated site called Southside Hip Pen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. You guys made it a phenomenal show. I want to send a big shout out and thank you to our technical producer, Elliot Baez, our social media posting monster himself, Clarence Council. And then our man, you see him underneath us at the bottom, and it's where he needs to be because he supports the show. This show runs on his shoulders, and we're very appreciative of him. He's the whiz, the man behind the curtain. He's our Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife, Ivan Vargas. All you guys, thank you. You made this a phenomenal show. So listen, we're gonna take a quick little 46-hour break, and we'll see you on TGI Mickey Ficky Friday, baby. I can't wait for that. So for my lovely co-host Maya Akai.
Oh. Well, one of these $2.
Yes.
I said I'm back. He's like, say it.
please. And the aforementioned Puerto Rican Swiss Army knife himself, Ivan Vargas.
Until next week, guys. Nice shirt, Maya. Just saying.
Oh, it's about to have an untimely ending. Okay?
Maya, you should do Hulk Hogan like, I am a real.
I should have thought about it. I should have did a pre-cut and had a tank top underneath it so I could tear it off at the end of the show. That would have been great.
Yes.
Now that I have a full-blown rash back here from this shirt. But anyways.
Good luck, right?
Yeah, it's all right. Well, listen, guys, I'm your boy, the Superback Shawn Sierra. We'll see you in 46 hours or 45 hours. Woo, what's it? 45 hours? Forgot. All right, guys. See you Friday. Download the app.